DC has announced the next wave of Dawn of DC books, and they really, really, really want you to read their comics. They are putting some of the top tier creators on some books that could really use some help to sell them. And I think they did an admirable job. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about all the big DC announcements that we got this week. Apparently, the big two just love making all their major announcements like right on top of each other because we don't just have big DC Comics news to talk. We've also got some Marvel announcements to talk about. We're going to be talking about the X-Men 60th anniversary live event, which we haven't somehow discussed yet, but now we have to because they added someone to the roster of legendary creators who will be joining Marvel to celebrate that we cannot ignore, none other than Grant Morrison themselves. So we will be discussing that. And how could we not talk about a very major development in the Daredevil Born Again series that is coming to Disney Plus soon? Last but not least, we're going to be talking about Twilight of the Superheroes. We'll be getting into chapter 2 of that. So if you enjoyed it last week, I am telling you now, we are going to be getting into some meat today.
Tremendous coverage, by the way, Sean. That was good stuff.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
But you forgot the biggest news, Sean.
Oh, shoot. What was that?
I'm back.
We're all here. Oh. All of us. I mean, yeah, specifically Marco, the ever absent Marco. But all four of us are here.
That flowed off the tongue very well.
You like that?
Yeah.
Ever absent.
Stop flirting.
Just don't be a father.
Oh!
Gonna go grab some milk.
Whoops.
Unbelievable. If you're watching us live, do say hello. We want to hear from you guys. Every week, you guys do a tremendous job in the chat, interacting with us, so let's keep that going. I wanted to start a little differently. So, as we all know, Marco,
hello.
Yes, has been the exact opposite of ever present on this podcast of late, which
Yes,
means, dear listener, you haven't heard from Marco in a while. So I am proposing a new segment that I am calling Marco's Minute.
Oh,
No.
Where
we know what Marco could do in a minute, though. So
listen, we're going to find out. For 1 minute, Marco can say whatever it is that Marco wants to say. We've never done this before. Marco's never spoken for 1 minute on this podcast ever, unless it's about AI.
He has for stuff we've recorded, and it's been fun, but it never released.
That's true, too.
Yeah.
Marco, are you ready for your minute?
I'm always ready, baby.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Start.
All right. I think that Alan Moore is a good writer. And I think that based on the coverage that you guys did, the expanse at which he was trying to focus on to the I guess the fuller line of publication for a lot of these books, I think it had potential, and I think where ultimately you guys came to and netted out to that potential. I agree about. I agree with it. I agree that there's something there that Alan Moore was able to tie into the larger DC universe, and then from there be able to continue to expand that out onto other parts of, or just into larger storytelling devices. Damn, that wasn't a minute, was it?
10 seconds.
10 seconds. Oh, One Piece is good.
So
3.
He still
1.
got 3
Done.
seconds.
I got feedback.
Yeah.
Marco, I guess you might be a little rusty, Marco. You haven't done this in a while.
In a while.
Take an
man.
improv class.
Yeah. Yes, and.
You know what I hate about what we just did?
Everything
is that I'll never get that minute back, and it was my own idea. So now I hate myself. Thanks, Marco.
And it was in response to something you did last week.
Yes.
I was hoping to hear like how you were doing in England. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been nice.
or
My favorite
Some
was it
bullshit.
was like Marco's minute, and it was like my minute to not have to pay attention to anything before I,
Yep.
like I could just like take a little rest,
Zone out.
a little nap before the show. Yeah, it was good.
I thought giving you your moment, we would really learn, some things about you, but that's just not what happened. And you know what? That bit will never be done again. So I hope you enjoyed your 1 minute of fame, Marco.
I
hope
was
you
a
enjoy
little
the fame.
nervous for you, Marco. You did sound a little robotic at the beginning. I'm like, oh, he finally stuck
I was
that USB.
rebooting. I was
USB
rebooting.
up.
I gotta come back into it.
Okay. Let's shift away from Marco and shift over to DC. Let's get into all the big announcements from this week. And we're going to start with the biggest of those announcements. We're going to start with Wonder Woman. So Wonder Woman is a book that I feel like they just haven't really been able to nail anything down as of the last few years. They haven't had that stellar Wonder Woman run, and it's a weird mystery. I think the last really hot Wonder Woman book was by Brian Azzarello. Is that?
That's the one that really tickled my tuna, but I don't know.
Really, that one's really good.
Someone said Rucka in the Discord this week. That was a long
That
time
was
ago,
that-
right?
that was a while.
That was before.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Didn't Kelly Sue do some?
Yeah, I feel like a little bit. I think.
I feel like that was like almost there. It almost sparked it.
Well, and she's on the Historia books, but
Maybe
I've-
that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, I think that's
I've
what I'm
not-
thinking of.
I've not read those, and I've not literally never seen them anywhere.
The Historia?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are definitely celebrated, but it's a mini series and it's more of a I guess a prestige book. In terms of a mainline, Wonder Woman book though, we haven't had too much success over the last few years. That will hopefully be changing with Wonder Woman #1 that we're going to see as a part of the Dawn of DCU. Now, the creative team is maybe the best one that DC currently has. And I want to know your guys' take on that. Tom King and Daniel Sampere.
Well, I like that part.
Yeah, it's good.
Sampere did Dark Crisis, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
I'm
huge.
feeling that. That's like a good lateral move. Like that. Actually, that's a bump up.
Yeah.
I think going from event to ongoing big three. That's
With Tom King.
yeah. It's A tier.
Well, see now,
Oh, well,
let's get into that part because I don't know how interested I am in a Tom King Wonder Woman.
Did you read the synopsis, Kel?
Yeah,
I did not like.
certainly
the
sounded
synopsis.
like a Tom King book.
It absolutely did.
Well, let's talk about that. So in Wonder Woman #1, a mysterious Amazonian is accused of mass murder, and the U.S. Congress passes the Amazon Safety Act, barring all Amazons from American soil. They create a new task force to carry out the new law, which is called the Amazon Extradition Entity, or AXE Judgment Day. And their job is to remove those who don't comply by any means necessary. In her search for the truth beyond the killing, Wonder Woman now finds herself an outlaw in the world she once swore to protect. Fans can find a prelude to that story in Wonder Woman #800, which will be coming soon by many, many, many tremendous creators from Wonder Woman's past and future.
And also Tom King.
Right. Now, on premise, I would say that this doesn't feel like a typical Wonder Woman story. It's very Tom King. You guys are right about that.
Yeah.
This does
That
smell like
doesn't-
somebody who lives in DC or is writing this one.
Yeah.
That doesn't inherently bother me.
No. How many
But-
pages in do we see the war crime happen?
Oh, well, but that's the thing that's again, he is seemingly to reiterating some of those ideas, and that's frustrating from a storytelling perspective. I don't want to see more of that from him, and it doesn't feel like Wonder Woman needs to deal with that, and I need to see her deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
The one time where his theme was like love, nobody liked Batman. So I enjoyed that run. I maintain that's a really good run, but I'm on, I also liked most of Heroes in Crisis until the end. But.
Well, yeah, that's because you're psychotic.
Well, Dameron says that
confirmed.
That synopsis sounds like someone asked Chat GPT to write Wonder Woman by Tom King.
Honestly,
that's pretty good.
Maybe that's who's doing the copy for synopses now.
Hey, Chat GPT, put Wonder Woman on CBS.
Show me a Tane nude.
Huh?
What?
No? Oh, okay. That's a reference nobody got. Okay, keep going, Sean. Look up Paul
Jose
Rudd,
said,
Tim and Eric, awesome show. Great job. Never mind.
I thought you were going to let me go. Jose said, sadly reminds me of Amazon's Attack. And that was the first thing that I thought of was Amazon's Attack, not because it's 1-to-1, but just because it, again, sets the Amazons as like an oppositional group and all this different stuff. I'm not inherently opposed to that. It's just an interesting angle, and I'm wondering how that fits into the larger idea of the Dawn of DC storytelling, especially with some of the other stuff that we learned about. My biggest concern is sort of what Tyler brought up, which is that Tom King's Batman run was a mixed bag in terms of how people received it. If you loved it, that's wonderful. I'm not here to criticize that, but I wasn't in love with it. And there were a lot of people who had mixed emotions. I thought it was solid, but I really disliked the swerve with the wedding. I thought that was just dumb. And when you're building and building and building towards something like that, it became almost like this is not Tom's fault, but it felt like a promise to me that they would be married. And then when it didn't happen, I just stopped caring.
You're telling me, Sean.
Damn.
So one thing that, before we talk about failed marriages, one thing that Batman had kind of going against it was that it was twice monthly.
Yeah.
It was like it had that Spider-Man schedule, like they were pumping those books out.
Yeah.
Which I don't think helped Tom King at all. Like, dude, in like the span of 2 years, wrote one of the longest Batman runs of all time.
Right.
So this, I believe this is just a monthly, right? I don't think Wonder Woman can afford being that good.
Not with the Sampere art, right? Like,
true,
that would be
yeah.
crazy.
So honestly, it's kind of untested waters in a way. Like the only time I've really seen Tom King on an ongoing was Batman. And that was a real rigorous kind of situation. This maybe can be a little better. I don't know. A little bit uncharted waters here for him.
I'm not envisioning this to be like a long run the same way Batman was. I'm assuming he's coming on for the name. They'll give him maybe like 2 arcs, maybe the 12 issues, so he can tell his whatever format story, and then an ongoing continues beyond him with Sampere on art. Because I think one of the big conversation pieces around this has been, jokingly, but there's some validity to it, about, well, we need somebody with a name to come onto the Wonder Woman book, give him a few issues, a few arcs, he's out, he's on to the next thing, and then we can continue picking up with Wonder Woman from there.
So
I don't understand why, and it's not a criticism against you, this is what DC does with Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why. Why is it that every run, think about the writers that have been on Batman in the last 10 years alone, and you could stretch that out. You go 20. You got Ed Brubaker, Greg Rucka, Grant Morrison, Scott Snyder, Tom King, James Tynion. The list goes on. Chip Zdarsky now. Who were the A-plus list writers? And then, of course, Superman as well. Who were the A-plus list writers that have graced Wonder Woman in the same time span? What are the classic standout Wonder Woman stories from that same time span? If they want a Tom King Wonder Woman, let him do it. Let him run. Let him, however many issues he feels he needs to tell his story, give him that. And then when he's gone, pay Scott Snyder. Pay James Tynion, pay Joshua Williamson. They need to be on Wonder Woman. She's not a secondary character. I don't get it. She can be written well and amazingly. I love Gail Simone's run. I love the Rucka stuff. I love the Azzarello stuff. Let's keep that going. This is Wonder Woman we're talking about.
She deserves that. Like this is one of the Trinity. At this point, it doesn't feel like it.
So
Yeah.
Marco, what you were saying was, do you feel like it's going to be a stealth Tom King 12-issue maxi series?
And then he's out, rotating the next person, and then we'll get that ongoing from there. And then when and if sales don't perform, Wonder Woman book closes down, or they focus on something else, whatever it might be, and then then the next big person comes on board to try to revitalize.
That's the thing, though, is just why can't a Wonder Woman ongoing stick?
I think it's the story. For me, like the Brian Azzarello stuff, he had almost 45 plus issues on that. That was phenomenal. The Rucka stuff, which I Googled, turned out it was actually after. It's DC Rebirth with Nicholas Scott. That was like another 20 plus issues. Like it has the potential, and it has in the past, but you need to find somebody who can work with the character in an interesting way. Like we tried to do that with Yara Flor. No hate on Joel Jones' art, but like the storytelling wasn't there. And I think that's what you need to hook in people, aside from having fire art. And it doesn't always pop up that way.
Look, if DC is putting Tom King on Wonder Woman, and especially like with what we know, so Tom King did an interview with Comic Pop, and I haven't watched it, so I can't speak to everything that was said. But one thing he did say was that he did not actually want to do this book. He told Sal from Comic Pop that he felt he was being set up for failure, which I did feel was a joke. So I don't want to
I mean, is it a joke though? Like,
well, I don't know. And without the full context of the interview and knowing their rapport, I just don't know. So I don't want to assume it was completely, for real.
I don't mean like is he actually think DC set him up for failure? I'm saying being on Wonder Woman is that tricky book because of the fandom for Wonder Woman is there, but the books are never there. You know what I mean? Yeah. So there's a lot of criticism for people who write Wonder Woman, especially when it's like Tom King, a white dude, a straight white dude writing Wonder Woman. I'm sure there's going to be some flack there.
Yeah, and that was how I initially took it.
Yeah,
was that Tom doesn't want to be the guy on Wonder Woman because he's the guy on Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
But then again, he was just the guy on Supergirl. So I don't know. Can't call it.
In the Twitch chat, To Plan Kingdom says, hey, To Plan, what's your name? Can we get something easier to call you?
Kingdom.
Killing me here. He said that Tom King said that he didn't want to be a limited series guy either.
You want to be pigeonholed. All right.
Which, frankly, I prefer him at.
You prefer a nice final issue 11, issue 12 epilogue book.
Yeah.
Shoot, we could do a whole episode on the anomaly that is Tom King, right? Like the fact, name another writer who didn't write an ongoing for any character at all, not even their own, until they wrote Batman. And then didn't do it again until they wrote Wonder Woman 5 years later or whatever it is. That's crazy.
I was reading something about Tom King recently, and someone was saying like Tom King is clearly a novelist who got into comics.
Yes.
Just the way his structure is for his limited series. And that's why that issue 12 is always the epilogue.
I'll tell you, even his novel, it feels like a specific, and for those of you who want to learn more about that, we have that on Patreon. That was my most recent post. Literally, his novel is almost like an event book, and it is just consolidated to a certain number of issues. He goes in, he comes out, he tells a story, and that's it. And that has been his format from novel form through to comics, with the exception seemingly being Batman.
I love it, to be honest. I like that. Like a little consistency.
It's wild. I highly recommend for completionists, but not necessary reading. I don't think for Tom King.
I highly recommend the Patreon so you can read that whole thing Marco wrote.
So I'm into this. Obviously, we will be reading it because that's what we do. You can hear our thoughts on Pals Pulls on this book. But yeah, I think this is, If you want people to buy Wonder Woman, put your top tier creators on Wonder Woman. I say the same thing all the time about Black Panther, and I feel it about Wonder Woman too. If you only ever try to appease the people who want certain creators on it, then you will always suffer from lower sales. Because there are only so many, I'll use Black Panther. There are only so many Black writers that have name recognition that you can put on Black Panther to help it sell. But if you're going to put lower rung creators who are making their bones just because they're Black, then the sales will reflect that. If you put Jonathan Hickman on Black Panther, bet you Black Panther sells top 10. That's what I'm saying. So they're doing it for Wonder Woman. This is the right call. We'll see how they follow up. Let's talk about Flash. Because this one, I had the exact opposite reaction to. This has go away heat with me.
Whoa.
Yes, it does. This is coming off the heels. This is coming off the heels of having read Nightcrawler's #2.
Which
Made me want to gouge out my eyes.
Yep.
Due to the amount of wordiness and nonsensicalness. And it's only me. I'm speaking for myself how Spurrier's writing makes me feel. I'm sorry, but that's how it makes me feel inside. Okay? Not because he's bad, just because I don't get it. And so going from that now to The Flash. Spurrier on The Flash.
Now I'm going to have to edit that, Marco.
Flash will have the creative team of Spurrier, Mike Deodato Jr. in September for The Flash #1. I am a massive Deodato fan. I don't even want to hear the negative about Deodato.
Is there negative about Deodato?
Yes, but this doesn't make any sense.
On The Flash.
Yeah,
I like Deodato.
Same.
I
okay.
found his
Same.
I even found his Spider-Man to be really good back in the day. The Flash, though,
It's almost the exact opposite of what he should be drawing. Like, it's impressive that this choice is given to Deodato. It's mind-boggling. Like, I don't know anyone in their right mind who would pick Deodato for a Flash book. It's a combination I would have never thought of.
Yeah.
It's like they took the idea of a perfect writer and artist combo and went, instead of meeting in the middle, they went completely opposite directions.
I don't know. The cover gave me like 80s almost sci-fi vibes, and I think Deodato works really well in sci-fi. I don't know how that'll translate for Flash as a character in that kind of an environment, but the off rip, that art slapped for me, connected with me absolutely.
It's a good cover, but all that means is Deodato can make covers.
The most recent thing that Deodato did was Not All Robots, I believe, with Mark Russell.
One other thing I think,
which is good, like, because
excellent.
that suits him. That plays to his like strengths. You know, it's robots. It's very photo referencey. You know, Flash is the most like golden age superhero.
But also, Deodato's art is not that kinetic. Like, it doesn't really
it's not
have that kind of like vibrancy that you would anticipate from an artist who's working on Flash. Look, if you told me Spurrier and Mike Deodato on like a lot of other characters, I'm not even going to waste time naming them. I would say, all right, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah.
This plays into both writer strengths, both creator strengths, whether I like Psy or not. This just feels wrong. Picture all the words from Nightcrawlers with, you know, Mike Deodato art there and the Flash.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to read when I read the Flash. I want to see cool shit.
That's a joke. Thing is, like, you give me this creative team and you say they're on Swamp Thing, I'll be like, yeah, that makes sense. That tracks. A Justice League Dark book. But sure, I get it.
Oh, yeah.
I get
Constantine.
it. This is like, wait, what? Did you mix up your solicits? And then I saw the image and I was like, oh no, they're really doing it. But at the same time, like, it's not my cup of tea. but also I'll check it out. You know,
That's kind of where I'm at too. And not for Spurrier. I think they're gonna be testing out the Flash's speed speech on with these panels, but and these balloons. But I'm interested to see what Deodato will do. Manny says that I guess DC said that they want to change the tone of the Flash.
What does that
He
mean?
said that. Yeah, he said that to me. Did I say something?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
when I
need
asked
more
that, I don't remember.
context.
I said the tone they chose is the brown noise.
Yeah, I don't really know what to expect. We do have a solicit. Wally West has never been quicker, more fulfilled, more heroic. His loving family is around him, and yet something is off, very off. His evolving understanding of his powers has opened Wally to new adventures or new avenues of sci-fi adventure, and attuned his senses to strange new ideas. Something whispers from the dark vibrations beyond the Speed Force, and as Wally experiments with creative new approaches to his powers, he encounters new realms, mysterious allies, and mind-shattering terrors. That doesn't sound bad. I'm cool with that. I'm up for that conceptually, but I think the creative team feels like a mismatch. But of course, as ever, we will give this a chance. There's no reason not to. We will be able to read this in June. June 6th is when we get the Flash #1. So, I'm willing to give anybody the benefit of the doubt when it comes to telling good stories. They deserve a chance.
And Sean, this is the main title. Yeah.
As far as we know, this is the Flash #1.
All right, cool. Dan, you got your answer.
On the other side of the coin, like Jeremy Adams posted, like he was done with the Flash, and I felt bad for him.
That was awkward.
Yeah.
That was so awkward. Did I? Yeah. I mean, I felt bad for Jeremy because based on the tweet that went out, his response to this, it seemed as though he was blindsided by this, and it also seemed as if he was sad about it. It seemed as if he wanted to have more time with the Flash, and he just did not get that.
Yeah, when they bust out the Notes app tweets, I'm like, oh no.
Yeah. Which, look, the 1 minute war hasn't been lighting us on fire necessarily, but the response to Jeremy Adams leaving the Flash, a lot of people were unhappy with that, especially for this.
One thing by that synopsis is it sounds a bit like they're gonna try maybe some of that early Flash stuff where he's, a puppet and, he's fat and he's a skeleton and he's, where they do all these different things with
the
his,
wacky stuff
because of his powers and stuff.
Right.
Which harkens back to something classic about the Flash, but isn't novel. And frankly, when Spurrier tries stuff like that, it doesn't tend to hit.
One thing too, and maybe this will make you feel even worse, Cal, is they also announced Flash 800, which is like an oversized special that has a Wally West story written by Mark Waid.
Why would that make that feel worse?
Because you just get a little taste instead of getting him as the ongoing writer.
I've got a whole.
It's true.
I've got one of those great big Flash volumes of all by Mark Waid. If I want that, I'll just read that.
That's true.
Comic Boom on YouTube says Spurrier wrote Cosmic Horror with Suicide Squad. Blaze, it was a Black Label, decent, but maybe a Cosmic Horror approach to Wally could work. I like that as a concept, but I think in execution it plays out really differently. I remember when Cullen Bunn took over Aquaman, like towards the end of New 52, and like tried to inject that element into it. And I forgot who was on art, but they got somebody to match that same style, that same tone, and it didn't connect. It's not the environment for the character to exist in. You're underwater, and the murkiness didn't always fit. You want something a bit brighter and clearer, and then the larger tone of like mysticism and magic getting played in can work, but I think to the degree upon which it wasn't executed well. And this is my only worry for this is you're introducing an outside genre, I guess, to the Flash and where that'll fit and where that might go. If Sai can handle it well, maybe it'll work, but I'm skeptical just based off of the way that they've tried to do this with other DC characters.
I want to read one last comment on this subject that I feel like accurately sums up how I feel about the tonal shift. Atomic Hound said, Flash feels like it's going from family ties to the... I completely agree. It's
to the
just a
Twilight Zone.
mismatch.
You cut there for a second, Sean.
Twilight Zone, yes, sorry. It's a mismatch. Hopefully it works out. It can. Anything's possible. They're talented creators. Not ruling them out. But I'm saying, knowing my tastes, that there's a part of this equation that spells doom for me personally.
Atomic Hound just sold me on the book, is what he did.
Good.
I was like,
There you go.
Shit, Twilight Zone Flash? Okay. Yeah, okay.
There you go. Tyler's in June 6th. Well, those weren't the only announcements we got for Dawn of DC. We got a few more. The Dawn of DC primer is the one that I'm excited for. So this is what I think Dawn of DC has needed for months. Obviously, it's still a relatively new endeavor on DC's part, but I think once I explain what it is, you'll understand why I'm saying that. DC needed a roadmap for us to sort of get behind and an establishment of what we can expect. So here's the solicit for Dawn of DC primer. For years, Amanda Waller has seen the heroes of the DC universe as a dangerous threat that could lead to the end of the world. Ever since Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, Amanda Waller has operated in the shadows to collect deadly weapons and to create an army of allies who agree with her. Now, she's forced to bring some of the worst enemies of the DC universe an offer they can't refuse. The Dawn of DC primer, written by Joshua Williamson with artwork by Leandro Fernandez, reveals Dawn of DC's secrets, threats, and connective stories in 2023 and beyond. This is coming out on May 16th, rather.
It's coming out a week after Free Comic Book Day.
Odd.
Yeah.
Maybe they just couldn't get it together in time.
A week?
They
That seems
probably,
purposeful. Yeah.
they probably wanted to make people pay for it.
But it's free.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
I'm sorry, I didn't say that. You're right. It is. It is a free. It's a free book.
Maybe to push them to the store twice. I don't know. I thought it was a little weird.
Yeah, I could see that. So even though I'm on record as having said, and I think we pretty much all agreed that Amanda Waller is sort of a weird choice to be the primary antagonist of the whole DC. The fact that that's the choice that they made, okay, that's cool. Now you need to make me believe that this makes sense. And tell me, go to see more of that. Tell me what I can expect. This seems like it's going to do exactly that. I'm glad that Joshua Williamson is still in the driver's seat. And I think this is exactly what I've been needing to reinvigorate myself with my interest in DC post Dark Crisis.
This is like their 0.1 issue or their timeless sort of thing. Yeah.
Yes. Big time.
I didn't get an image of the cover because I couldn't find a good quality one. They're like just like Samsung level phone quality. But the characters on it, pretty bog standard DC mainstays. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Aqualad being in there was it? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think it's more about what's on the inside with this one.
Yeah, these are the same characters that were in the DCU multicolor panel thing. So
right. Next up, let's talk about Steelworks.
Warriors book.
So Michael Dorn, who played Steel in the Superman animated series, is going to be writing this with art by Sami Basri. And this is the description that DC gives. The metropolis of the future is here today, but can it survive a terrorist who's out for revenge against its builder, John Henry Irons, a.k.a. Steel, and his company, Steelworks, and who possesses secrets that could undo everything John has worked so hard to build? While John's professional life is firing on all cylinders, his personal life is even better, as his on-again, off-again relationship with Lana Lang might be back on permanently. Now he must decide whether it's time to give up being Steel once and for all. But does John even know who he would be without his superhero identity? And how does the other Steel, John's niece, Natasha Irons, feel about his momentous decision? And does any of that matter if Steelworks crumbles around him when he lacks the superpowers to fight back?
Sounds like a book with honor.
I might crack open a bottle of prune juice while I drink this. These are all Star Trek jokes, guys. Sorry.
Okay. Yes. You know what? I have no relationship to Steel. I always thought he was a cool visual in the Death of Superman game, and he was in that, and I really loved that. But yeah, never seen him in a comic, I don't think. Not that I can immediately recall. I'm sure it's happened, but this sounds really good.
Are you going to pick it up?
Well, yeah, of course, because we'll most likely review it. But as far as like my personal interest in it, yeah, you know, it sounds like a story that has some layers and is trying to up the profile of not only John Henry Irons, but also Natasha Irons. So that's cool.
Honestly, what interested me about this synopsis was Lana Lang coming back. Haven't seen her in a while.
I didn't know she and John Henry Irons were together.
I think it was in Greg Pak's run, possibly. Lana got powers for a bit too.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, she got like the Superman electric powers.
Yeah.
I think she's a great character, so I'm cool. I'm excited to see her back. I mean, I don't know what Michael Dorn's writing skills are. You know, I love him as an actor, but
I think he is co-writing
with who? I didn't catch a.
Yeah, I didn't see a co-writer on this. That's what interested me. Because normally, when you get your celebrity writer, yeah, it's like co-writer. You know. Yeah. No, he's solo writing this one, Cal.
Yeah, by all accounts. That's
Oh.
Yeah, this sounds cool. I don't think like, yeah, it's not the biggest creative team in the world. I don't know Sami Basri's work. They are credited with having worked on Harley Quinn. But yeah, I think this has a shot.
And Michael Dorn is a big enough name in nerddom, so like this could sell a book easily. Yeah.
Oh my God! Wait, Michael Dorn is Worf?
He's Worf,
yeah. Bro, come on. We're having this whole conversation.
Wow.
Cal wrote Steel Wharfs in the chat.
You're
too busy
we
working.
went through this whole conversation. You didn't cling on to that fact?
Nice one. That was very well done. Wow.
He's made me laugh my hat off.
Well done. Let's talk about the last announcement, Hawkgirl. So DC saying this is
Hawkgirl?
Yeah.
Hawkgirl. Who is also a hot girl. Yeah. A brand new adventure with sky-high action and intrigue begins in Hawkgirl by Jadzia Axelrod.
Yep. Another Star Trek reference.
Huh?
Oh.
That's a Star Trek reference as well.
Oh, really?
It's Worf's wife.
Jadzia plays Jadzia Dax as a Star Trek Deep Space Nine character that a lot of trans people identify with because their race of alien is almost it mirrors a trans experience. She was a man and now a woman.
Switching.
Yeah. And I believe the writer of this book, Jadzia Axelrod, is trans too. So.
Oh, okay. And then we've got Amancay, Nahuelpan. Sorry if I butchered that. But they're credited with working on Wonder Woman. And DC says this is going to be following, of course, Kendra Saunders, the winged warrior, better known as Hawkgirl, has been one of the DC Universe's greatest heroes for a long time, serving as a member of both the Justice League and the Justice Society. But with the Justice League disbanded, Kendra decides she needs a fresh start and heads to Metropolis to begin a new life. That life is quickly interrupted by a mysterious villain with a powerful connection to the nth metal that makes up Hawkgirl's wings and weapons. Hawkgirl will also feature a series of variant covers that recount Kendra's DC history, and it'll be out July 18th.
I think this might be the first Hawkgirl ongoing.
No.
In 2006, I just looked it up. She took over Hawkman's book, and it continued numbering, but it was Hawkgirl instead. This might be the first Hawkgirl #1.
Wow.
Interesting.
Which is kind of wild.
I mean, outside of the animated series, she's not a huge character.
Sure, yeah.
I feel two ways about this. DC has to try to sell us on these new characters, the ones that they want us, not new, but like the ones that they want us to be in the Dawn of DC. And this is a good way to do that. You're putting your money where your mouth is. However, at the same time, I don't feel like, based on this solicit, I have to buy this book. I'm like not that excited about it.
I'm an idiot.
Okay.
You can click that, guys.
What
Feel free.
else?
Feel free. Anytime there's a new Hawkman or a Hawk something book, I pick it up. I want to like these characters so bad. They like Hawkman and Hawkgirl might be one of my favorite designs in comic books.
Pretty cool.
And like every time I pick it up, it's just like, oh, all right, we're back in time again. All right, it's fine. Strangely, I think my favorite one in recent memory was Savage Hawkman. It was like Liefeld. So that shows where the bar is. I'm picking this up. I like this. I want to read a Hawkgirl book. So yeah.
I'm with you, Sean. This doesn't interest me. Like, I don't necessarily care for the character enough to even want to be interested in it necessarily. Like, I haven't had an experience with Hawkgirl in a book, so I'm not familiar with it. The being disbanded from the Justice League and starting fresh feels clean, but I don't know. It doesn't. There's nothing there that's engaging me or pulling me into it. Like why do I care that she's gonna start fresh? I'm assuming that happens for every character, regardless, right? Like it's gonna be a #1 issue or something.
It feels pedestrian.
Yeah.
And,
I'm with you.
Jadzia, she wrote for DC Galaxy the Prettiest Star. It was one of those YA graphic novels, which I think was her first comic book stuff to write. I remember seeing the cover for this, and I was like, "Oh, this looks good." I never read it. I don't know if you guys had any familiarity with it.
Galaxy? No.
Okay.
Definitely not. I agree with Comic Boom. Comic Boom says, I love Kendra Saunders, but she deserves an established talent. And it's no shade, I say these kinds of things a lot, but it's not meant to be an offense. Every writer has to make their bones somewhere. And it's good for DC to give, and Marvel, for them to give, newer creators an opportunity. It just sucks that, that's likely to lead to lesser sales, and it's likely to lead to cancellation within 10 issues, as these things tend to happen. And then if you're a big fan of that character, you're left waiting for the next Kendra Saunders #1, which, as we can tell, this is the first time. So it's probably not going to happen again anytime soon, unless this is gangbusters, which it could be. But, overall, when we look at all these announcements, I think that now we have a clearer picture of what the Dawn of DC is going to be. With the Dawn of DC primer, I like that we now know Wonder Woman's trajectory, which was a big question mark for a while, that I wish was not a question mark. I think this is good, and we know what the next event is. We got the Night Terrors thing coming. I like where we're at. And then once we get past Night Terrors, then I want to know what's the next phase. But this is good for now.
I'm excited about the way that they're shaking it up. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, but I think the willingness to bodes well for me to be interested in future DC books.
Oh yeah, Atomic Hound. If Atomic Hound says if Hawkgirl goes 18 issues, it will be a significant win. I agree. If you can get past, I would say, a couple of arcs in today's age without a name on the book, that is significant. Yeah.
Kingdom said the same thing on the Twitch chat about if this ends up this ends up being one of those books that after the 8th issue you hear on Twitter, and it's like, oh yeah, it's actually pretty good.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be. We shall see. So that's it for the DC portion of all their announcement. We got so much more show for you guys. So much more show. I want to talk to you guys about a show that's coming in the future, though. Because on April 1st, and no, this is not an April Fool's joke. This is not any kind of joke. In fact, on April 1st, we will be having the incomparable, the legendary Jeff Johns returning to the podcast. We did a 2-hour epic with Jeff Johns back in September, and we're going to do it again in April. Not necessarily 2 hours. I have no idea how long it's going to be. We're going to have a great conversation. At that point, Junkyard Joe will have ended, so we'll be able to talk about that. We'll be able to talk about like the Geiger movie announcement stuff, which happened just shortly after our interview with Jeff, and all sorts of other things. We want you guys to take part in this as well. We're going to be running, or we are running right now, the Jeff Johns Geiger giveaway, which runs from whenever you're hearing this until the 31st of March.
Till we stop talking about it.
And if you want to enter, all you have to do is be subscribed to us on YouTube, following us on Twitch, send us a question or a comment for Jeff Johns. If you're a member of our Patreon page, patreon.com/thecomicspals, you're getting 2 entries instead of 1, or plus 2 entries instead of 1. So you'll be way ahead of the curve on everybody else. And then live on April 1st, we will put everybody's name in a randomizer, everybody who submitted a question, everybody that's valid. And by valid, I mean you're a subscriber. And that person will win a copy of Geiger, the trade. So if you want a copy of Geiger, if you want to ask Jeff Johns a question or leave him a comment, send those our way. Are you guys excited for Jeff Johns?
I guess.
I'm excited to meet him. I didn't get a chance to last
That's
time.
true, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Wow, Marco, missing the big moments.
Well, you know how it is.
Yeah. Fair enough.
To Plan Kingdom, if we can Amazon it to you, I guess we will, right? like
Well,
it's not.
What I want to do is literally just buy it on Amazon and send it directly to the person.
Yeah.
So, all they would need to do is give us their address and we'll take care of the rest. So
Their address and the times they aren't home.
I can't think of a reason, unless you guys can correct me, I can't think of a reason why this has to be US only.
I mean, if you're like Antarctica or, like something
China
like
or
remote, then maybe it gets complicated, but
And worst case scenario, we can send a digital version. But our goal is to send a physical trade to the individual who wins.
Sure.
So,
If you want Geiger and you want to participate, get in. We'll figure it out.
exactly.
That's our promise.
You will get the Geiger trade, however we have to.
We'll send Marco on a walkabout and hand deliver it if we have to.
Easy. I'm trying to go on vacation around the world. Let me know where you live and I will meet you there. Well, not always. Hold on a second. Let's not put that out there.
It's only one book too. It's not like we're shipping like a statue. It's like
Ship me,
Exactly.
frankly.
Marco, you think you could probably fit in some luggage?
Oh, like I haven't tried before.
Yeah, Marco, where's the smallest spot you ever tried to fit into?
I was gonna be mean. So what's next, Sean?
What's next are the plugs.
That's what you say after that?
Speaking
course I
small
do.
places, Marco had to go.
Of course I do. Small parts of Marco that things have been in. Anyway, patreon.com/thecomicspals is the absolute best way to support the show. And we appreciate every single person that does that. That's what helps keep the lights on. It helps us, continue to produce the kind of content that hopefully you enjoy. For $3 a month, which is the less than the price of Kale.
My antique pipe.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
What if we did a gimmick, Kale, where every week I say that, and you present something different.
My man, that was the unsaid part.
You get access to our Patreon page. You get access to our newsletter. You get the ability to vote in the book club poll, which is fully Patreon voted. Like, patrons choose our book clubs every single month. You get early access to the book club as well. Early access to any exclusive YouTube content we do. You get Howling Around, which is our Patreon exclusive show, and you get a superhero or supervillain nickname and a shout out on this very podcast. So we are saying thank you to Thunderstruck, Rebecca Alejandro, The Night Stalker, Harris Nijinsky, Brian Demolisher Del Pozo, Random Rocio, Kefis the Incorruptible, The Great Destroyer, Hyper Viper 89, Momentum, Mike Elliott, Starcross, Catherine Stars, Hound of Justice, Atomic Hound, Dan the Truth Trudeau, and Joel Justice. Thank you all so much. We appreciate you.
And thank you to Plan 3 Kingdom for subscribing on Twitch.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much. It's fantastic. We appreciate that a lot. The other thing I wanted to mention was the merch store that we sort of relaunched last week. We talked about that. Tyler is currently holding up the Comics Pals mug, which is so nice looking. I can't wait to order mine. And literally, if you just check out the page, if you just look at the store, I think you'll find something that you might want to pick up. It's a lot of fun. There's fun gimmicky stuff. There's a lot of kind of goofiness on there. And things that you might use in your practical life, like cups or a book bag or a bra with Marco's face on it.
Please purchase.
I know Atomic Hound said
Comics
purchase some
Pals
stuff.
action figures. Yo, if we get our own Funko Pops, that's it. I'm
done.
Funko Pops. No,
Yo.
that bubble's bursting right now, dude. Yeah.
Perfect time for us to get in.
That's not how those things. Okay. All right.
Oh, okay. All right.
Kale, you're
Can't hear
muted.
you, Kale.
Yeah.
I've wanted an action figure of me my whole life.
I knew you were going to say that. And that is so fucking egotistical, but I completely agree with you.
Listen,
Me too, dude.
hey, you guys think I'm looking at you on this Zoom call?
Fair.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
that's anyone who does a podcast, though, right? It's just
The only good part about being on YouTube is I can look at myself while I'm doing this.
I was literally gonna say, if I could have a bobblehead or a Funko of any, I would want Kale's. I
Yo.
want to like have it sitting next to me, and just whenever I feel like it, just flick the head and watch the head bounce and bobble around.
Well, my
Fun.
wife does.
He flicks the head and watches it bobble
Oh,
around.
You know it.
Unbelievable.
Makes a mess.
If you want to watch this show live, you can do that on Twitch and YouTube every single Saturday at 10:15 a.m. Eastern. If you want to watch Pals Pulls live, that's our show where we review comics. You can do that every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern. We got a lot of shows. We got a lot of stuff going on. And you can follow all of that on social at the Comics Pals. And if you want, you can join our Discord server to hang out with us and continue the conversations that start on this show and have conversations that actually never get brought up on this show. So you want to do that. And the last thing I will let you guys know is that we are currently 17 subscribers away from 1,000 on YouTube.
Ooh.
And Kale will do a backflip when we get to 1,000. Legit.
Need to see that.
All the training that Kale's been doing, all the physical exercise, the running, the pumping, it's all leading to this moment, the backflip.
pumping.
Well,
Yeah,
the flicking
pumping.
apparently.
Okay, got it.
Pumping, flicking, running,
Bop it.
twisted.
Join the Discord to go see that progress as well.
Bro, I've been working.
Yeah, I see it.
Love it. So help us get there.
You've been working, as have the other pals who we have a Wildcats boxing gym chat, which has been like a really good supportive thing. So if you're also looking to work out while you're reading and listening to your podcast about comics, there it is.
I just want to see Kale like go full scorpion, like just do a backflip and just like scorp out, like not make it.
Why would you say that?
I don't know. I like seeing people get
If
hurt.
if I don't make it, I could be paralyzed.
Yeah, that was dark. That was dark. But
Just commit to the jump like as hard as you can.
That's how you. That's yeah. Everyone can backflip if they just commit.
Yep.
Wow. Well, look, let the listeners have their say. Tyler, let's get to the listener comments.
Oh yeah. Let me get to my slide real quick. Hold on. All right, I gotta go. through
Everybody
my-
was very, very positive about Twilight of the superheroes. By the way, we really appreciate all the kind words. We included what we could.
Yeah, so we got some people talking. So Tom McCown, great show again, pals. The best, most civil and reasonable comics conversation show on the interwebs.
Hey, thank you.
I disagree. No, it's
Well, now I'm back, so
yeah.
The civility is
Yeah.
out the window.
goodbye.
We'll get to bully Marco again.
Trust me, it's coming up. Daniel Ugalde said that Jeff Johns announcement was chef's kiss, perfect. You guys ever have a chef kiss you?
Yes.
Okay, Marco, we know globetrotting fucking.
So
Not knowingly.
Next.
Ouroboros Snake, Twilight of the Superheroes. You did amazing, guys. You did amazing,
Thank you.
Sean. Cal and I just reacted. I pressed the
I
button
didn't-
to make
yeah,
slides
I
go
didn't do
through.
shit.
So, yeah.
Well, me sitting here and droning on might not be as interesting without people to bounce off of. So, we all did a great job.
Yeah.
You know who did a great job setting the internet, well, comics Twitter rather, on fire this week?
Dummy.
Elon?
No.
Oh no, that's just Twitter in general. Never mind.
At Morrison J47, who I believe was the person who is the first person to put this tweet up.
Oh.
And I thought this was phenomenally interesting, people's different takes. So, of course, we have to do it here. Here's what at Morrison J47 asked on Twitter. Name 5 DC heroes that would have been pro-registration in Marvel's Civil War. So what I'm asking right now in this hot topic is, what 5 DC heroes do you think would have been on the side of pro-registration, on the side of the government, in a hypothetical civil war? And I think I don't know if I'm taking the concept beyond what Morrison intended, but let's say this is not happening in Marvel. This is happening in DC.
Yeah. That's the prompt, no?
I thought
think-
maybe they meant like, if this happened, right? Like in Marvel, and you had 5 heroes from DC who were in this situation, like who were in Marvel or whatever, who would side with Iron Man. But maybe maybe that wasn't what they meant, but that's where my head went.
Yeah, I read it as like, what does DC Civil War look like?
Right. Like
Okay.
between pro-registration and non.
Um,
Well, let's not establish a whole story. Just who would be pro-reg. That's it.
yeah, that's how I was reading it.
Yeah, right,
I
yeah.
think one thing for me is, I think the Trinity has to be off the table for this to work.
I disagree.
Oh,
But-
here we
sorry.
fucking go.
Continue. Sorry, I jumped in too early. Kale, sorry. Jeez.
I'm still getting
Can't
my
have an
list ready.
opinion on
I'm
this
still-
podcast.
I'm still getting my
apparently.
list ready, so you guys can keep going.
Oh.
I think the ones that will be off the table, story wise, are Superman and Batman, because
Yeah, I agree.
I think Superman will take that Stephen Strange route and he'll get off planet. He'll disappear. Batman will be so anti-reg, he'll make robots and lock himself in the cave. So I simply don't think story-wise Batman will work.
I disagree, because I like the idea that the Trinity themselves hold so much weight that their choices have that many more implications. So Superman, let's say, let's say he decides to abstain, right? There will be a population of people who also abstain and would rather just continue to would rather not get involved on like the conversation end. Batman would be anti immediately, and his whole swath of people there's so many connected families that by having those players in play, you can shift dramatically the direction upon which that narrative might go. Wonder Woman as well, all of the Amazonians in that, well, not all of them, but like those that are active, the Superman family. I think my 5 were
Swamp Thing.
No, Swamp Thing would be for nature and like just destroying the world, so it's fine. But like Booster Gold, Nightwing. I changed Green Arrow to Flash.
Wait, what was the second one?
Sorry?
What was the second one?
Red Tornado. And
You coward.
and Superman. I think those would be the 5.
I gotta go.
Yep.
I gotta go.
Let's all get our 5 out there first before we just tear this one to shreds.
Okay.
I gotta think and write this down. Can we tear it to shreds first?
I'm gonna wrap real quick. I am going to be a douche right now.
Okay.
I have to be honest. I'm going to abstain from this.
What?
Yes, I'm gonna explain why. I think this is a bullshit premise.
Yeah.
And I think that even the question is a fundamental misunderstanding of DC, to the point where I don't think that there's any world in which this could even happen, because DC and Marvel are so unbelievably different. I just don't think there's no Superman equivalent in Marvel. You can't even say Hulk. You can't, because they obviously Marvel took certain people off the board. They took Thor off the board, Hulk, Doctor Strange, because they knew that those characters' power would warp the story. Whichever side they were on, it would be way too much. And I think that's the same case with DC. The same exact kind of civil war, which is end DC. How do you come back from something like that? They're way, way too powerful for something like this.
DC also, like, as I'm looking through the characters and I was getting my list together, they also have like aliens, Martian Manhunter, Superman, where like it doesn't really fit really with like it's Captain America. It's like, these are Americans, it's the world outside your window.
Right.
DC's much more fantastical, really, so it's not as grounded in reality, I feel.
You can't outlaw the Flash. You cannot outlaw Superman.
Can't even catch him.
Yeah.
You can't stop them from doing what they want to do. You can't control them. You can't put Superman in a room with Amanda Waller and have her say, hey, yeah, we're doing this pro-registration thing. You're going to be down, right? And then when Superman says no, she has her goons try to shoot him, so he has to escape. You can't stop Superman. You can't tell him what to do. I just don't think the story works. And so I don't have an opinion about who would be what, because I don't believe in it.
What if you heighten the story and it's like no aliens around and they start, locking them all up, How could you? I don't know. You make some kind of, so they tap
jail or something.
Amanda Waller gets a Speed Force weapon. I don't know. Like it's comic books. You write it. You come up with it. Superman's been depowered before. You figure it out. I don't think.
I'm not into that.
It would have to be completely
that
different.
Makes sense.
Yeah. But I can still tell you Marco's wrong.
I can say as well. Yeah.
I'll say my 5. Pro Reg, Batwoman, Hal Jordan, Jaime Reyes.
What?
Jaime Reyes.
I can see that.
Wonder Woman and Aquaman.
What comic books are you reading?
DC comic. I'm reading them.
I don't agree with Hal Jordan at all. I think he's got the reputation of a cop, but I don't think that's fair.
I'm thinking because I think Jon Stewart is the one they suspect, but I picture Jon Stewart in a more of a Steve Rogers role, and I just want a foil to it. I think you right away for Hal Jordan to work. And I
Wonder
think,
Woman.
Oh yeah. I think
Woman.
no.
Yeah,
I think it's a dignitaries thing
No.
with Aquaman as
No
well.
way.
It becomes a diplomatic issue.
No.
I think
What? Why? They don't. What are they afraid of?
Right.
well, that's why they joined.
Yeah, because they don't see an issue.
They're not afraid of whatever. They're doing it to put everybody on a level playing field.
No,
Yeah.
but see, I disagree to that. I think Aquaman and Wonder Woman would abstain because would say no because why do they care? They have their own kingdoms. They are are active in the States, but then you have people who are afraid of the fact that they're saying no to that. And then you have Superman in line to be like, well, we have this guy. We'll fuck you up regardless. That becomes
Superman would never.
Yeah, in my mind, Superman does not work at all in this. Yeah,
he would never
this
say
is the
fuck.
way that I.
he's a Deus Ex
fuck.
Machina in
First of
everything
all-
he's in. Yeah,
All right, here's my list. Wonder Woman,
yeah, okay.
Guy Gardner, Captain Atom, Damian Wayne, and Hawkman.
Oh, Damian Wayne. I like how everyone there has to be a Bat character in it.
Surely.
I think there are some that make sense. Damian Wayne to me would be in it for catching people. He would love that power.
He's the Punisher
Yeah.
in a way. Okay, like
Yeah.
the opposite of it. Yeah, okay.
And Hawkman's just, I mean, he's right wing all the way, so to speak.
Yeah, so Dan's right. Like Superman can't fit in this. He has to be off the board, like in any iteration, you know. And then you get into fascist Superman on either end, and it gets messy. But in my head, like Jaime Reyes is the Spider-Man, you know, equivalent, you know. So
I think there's a lot you could do with that.
and I think Hal being on an opposing side is good stuff with Wally, who would, or sorry, Barry, who would completely not be pro-reg. So I'm
I
thinking.
disagree.
Really?
Yeah. I think you get, this would be one of those where you get the older heroes against the younger ones. I think most of the Titans would be anti.
Agreed. Yeah.
But you get people like Barry, who is a cop. Again, that's where you get like the cool stuff against Barry against Wally, and you know, it'd be one of those things where it's like, their final speed battle.
Just a giant anime battle with Linkin Park playing in the background.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the other thing with this, is that I have a really hard time. I have a hard time buying that a lot of these characters would even hit each other. I just
Yeah,
it's
that's
so-
a
the
great
Marvel
point.
the Marvel characters are more emotionally driven.
And they
and
all want to punch each other in the face.
The stakes for them in Civil War were a lot higher because it actually affected them. Like, yeah, Spider-Man is impacted by this. Luke Cage, Daredevil, Cap. I just don't think the Flash is impacted by it. You cannot stop him. So how can you outlaw him?
The closest thing to a Civil War that we've had in DC is Identity Crisis.
Kingdom Come.
Yeah, but I'm thinking like main continuity.
Yeah, sure.
Sort of thing. Yeah. Yeah, and like Sean, we just read Adventures of Superman, John Kent. And like they explicitly say like the heroes fighting heroes thing is boring. Let's just, you know, talk it out with him in like a Zor-El, you know, or whatever the other Superman's name is. But
DC's, you know, mythological characters, these larger than life characters, don't have the Achilles heel of extreme hubris or some like personality defect that, you know, the Norse mythology gods have, or the Greek mythology gods have. They don't have that maliciousness in them or anything like that into battle. So it's a fun thought experiment, but the reality of it, I don't think is there. But it is fun.
What if somebody was just like started to pass a law? I was like, actually, I don't want Superman in Metropolis. It makes me scared.
no, let's not talk about Superman. Marco, Nightwing.
Yeah, bro. There have definitely been examples where he has leaned into being like not necessarily the authority figure, but wanting to do good, but through more like legit means. Even the most recent arc, like he's trying to side with, was it the police commissioner who happens to be his like sister or something, to be able to work more closely with them because he wants a more fair justice, because he doesn't necessarily agree that his version of it is the ideal way.
Calling Nightwing a bootlicker.
That also doesn't mean he's going to drop his identity because somebody asked him to.
Why not? Like, if he's willing to go through
because he swore on a Bible in a cave with a candle and made a promise as an 8-year-old. What the fuck? And he based his whole life around it. What the fuck do you mean?
He can't fucking change, dude.
What do you mean?
Anyone
70 years of this character.
That
what the
why
fuck
not?
do you mean?
I can't even believe that. Why not?
Anyone raised by Bruce Wayne is anti-Reg. That's why I think Damian and Batwoman are like the outliers.
I agree.
I think he wants to be a good boy. Like follow.
You
follow
heard
the
that?
rules.
You heard it here first, guys. Marco thinks you can be a good boy only by being big government and a cop.
I gotta go take a blood pressure pill.
I
Got my heart rate up so much. What do you mean? Why not? Why
We
not?
also have to keep in mind what happened in Civil War. Like, it wasn't just, the pro registration running around and locking up anyone. They were specifically locking up other heroes, i.e. their own friends. In what reality is Nightwing locking up his own friends?
Ulysses, classic Ulysses, and YouTube says in Sean Murphy's reality, and that's what Nightwing's doing.
Yeah, remember
that's absolutely true to a degree, in that yes, Nightwing is a cop in that book, but I don't know.
I also
to me,
don't agree with the characterization of Nightwing in that either. Yeah.
Be that as it may,
like
that's
that.
a different universe. Sean Murphy could have Nightwing turn into the devil if he wanted to,
Or a landlord.
It doesn't matter. Like, in mainline continuity, Nightwing ain't doing that. There's a book where Superman is a Russian, I don't know what you want to call him. He's born in Russia, or he lands on Russia, and he's a villain essentially. That can happen, but mainline Superman, come on.
Agree to disagree.
Agree
that
Come
you're
your ass. I'm gonna
wrong.
come
I see.
shove my foot up your ass. That's
Yeah,
what's
go
gonna
ahead.
happen.
Go ahead. Come through.
He
My
might
door's
like that,
wide
though.
open. My
He
door's
might
wide
like
open. I'll cook you a nice lunch. Like, we're here.
that. Oh, this is romantic.
That would like a nice lunch.
So you're gonna cook him lunch, and then he's gonna stick his foot up your butt.
Yeah, Marco usually has to pay for that, so that works out.
Wow.
Trust me, those rates they're rough these days.
Coming up, dude.
This economy.
Unbelievable. All right. Well, let's move on from the Comics Pal Civil War. And
Fucking
And
It's
shift-
Civil War. It's 3-on-1.
fucking Comics Pals gangbang.
well, there were
yikes.
multiple
Hold on.
there were angles there, because I vehemently disagree on Wonder Woman as well, and
Same.
Aquaman. So, there's many angles. But let's get back into the announcements, because we've got a major one coming from Marvel this time, as Marvel has announced a new creative team for the Incredible Hulk.
Oh.
So Hulk has been in a bit of a weird spot recently. Donny Cates and Ryan Ottley's run was hotly anticipated. I would say that it was moderately well received. I think that there were some criticisms. I know that I wasn't in love with it. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be in terms of how much I would like it, regardless of what the premise was. And then, of course, Donny Cates' personal life has sort of blown up, and Donny Cates is allegedly working on something with CB Cebulski that requires him, coupled with his real life issues, to step away from the Hulk, which we have seen happen. Ryan Ottley actually took over as writer-artist to close out the run and end the series. Now, we have gotten an announcement about who will take over. And we have Phillip Kennedy Johnson,
Ooh,
who is just the hottest writer in comics right now, right? Like,
hot hand right now.
yeah. Teaming up with Nick Klein, who is fresh off of Thor, another book impacted by Donny Cates' issues, who is jumping over to work on Incredible Hulk.
Nick Klein.
I have a question.
Phil Kennedy Johnson at the gate. I trust him at this point. I will pick this up for him specifically. Oh, Nick Klein looks good.
Yeah,
Nick
come
Klein's
on.
good.
Put some respect on Nick Klein's name.
I don't know
Sean, are
who
you
this
gonna
guy
read the
is.
synopsis?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just
'Cause
wanted to
have-
give
I
you
have a-
guys the...
I have a question there about that.
Okay. So here we have it. As an enraged Hulk tries to take control of Bruce Banner's body permanently, a mysterious immortal turns every monster in the Marvel Universe against Banner in an attempt to free their creator, the primordial mother of horrors. With the help of an unlikely new friend, Banner and Hulk must try to stop the world from getting plunged into darkness.
Interesting.
Question on the unlikely new friend.
Mhm.
If you look at the cover, somebody's behind Hulk. Is that Deadpool?
Oh, I can see it.
Deadpool, who most recently was the king of the monsters.
Oh, and he's doing like this. It looks like with the hands.
Yeah.
Huh.
I can kind of see that.
Because unlikely is like, oh, it's going to be a cheeky thing, you know? And Deadpool and monsters are a thing. He controlled all of them for a while. So,
I mean, I wouldn't be mad at that.
Me neither. It's not a character I would expect PKJ to write. I mean, neither is Hulk, but so I'm interested in this.
Me
Who's
too.
on this cover? Is
That's
this Nick Klein on the cover?
Yeah. Dude, Nick Klein.
Ooh.
Yo, you're sleeping on Nick Klein, dude.
Yeah, apparently. I like this.
Nick Klein worked on some of Donny Cates' Thor.
Okay.
Real good stuff. Nick Klein also worked on some Doctor Strange, I believe. I think Donny Cates is Doctor Strange.
I like this almost like pencil style. It looks like almost like colored pencil, some like watercolor mix in it. If he's doing the same coloring, and then the art itself looks like somebody Jeff Lemire would work with.
So I'm really excited about this for a few reasons. Nick Klein is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phillip Kennedy Johnson has the hot hand right now. Hulk is a character that Marvel clearly identifies as. I mean, listen, the Hulk is one of the most popular superheroes of all time. And I think especially with a slightly older crowd than ours, Hulk is one of the first heroes that a lot of people learned about. So whenever there's a hot creative team on Hulk, it's done well. We learned that from Al Ewing. And then, of course, that did continue with Donny Cates. So I believe that Phillip Kennedy Johnson and Nick Klein's run will be a success in that regard. They put a creative team together, they can get the job done. On top of that, I like the fact that Phillip Kennedy Johnson talks about how they're going to be returning back to the Jekyll and Hyde aspect of the Hulk. That sounds fun. I'm into that. I just can't. This seems like a no miss. Like it cannot miss. That's how this feels to me.
Atomic Hound on YouTube says Hulk is a top 20, maybe top 10 book with this creative team. Probably.
Yeah, as long as they get the job done.
Yep.
I'm not sold.
Why?
I think the return to form with the Hulk turns me off. I'll check it out. PKJ's earned my vote for sure. But I just like, especially after Al Ewing's run, I'm not crazy about the return to the Jekyll and Hyde, Bruce Banner wandering the country situation.
I think post Cates and Otley, I'm ready for that because their run was like Space Hulk, and it was so. Yeah. I felt alienated from it because it just wasn't anything like I've seen the Hulk before. And coming off of Al Ewing's run, which was brilliant and really grounded, but also went to some dark places and supernatural places, seeing the Hulk go into space in this way, not go into space, but like have more sort of a spacey sci-fi adventure, it turned me off. So going back to the monsters, getting back into the grit and grind, the Jekyll and Hyde, I'm very, very into that. But I can also see someone wanting the Hulk to push forward.
Yeah.
I just feel like we spent so much time with like, the family of Hulks that we got a few years ago. And I feel like they wore the Hulk out.
I think I can definitely see why the impulse is to sort of take him back. Is because how much further can you go? Agreed. You've already made him immortal and killed him how many times? Like, where else can you go?
Shenron in the Twitch chat says, I hope this is not horror work, so let's do it again. Sometimes that can backfire and lose the fuel for a horror Hulk. I think that's a fair point. Like, this looks like leaning back into some of those horror elements just because we know that was a really popular run. And similar to other stuff, like a conversation earlier about like the Flash, if that's the plan, then it needs to work. If you're going to play with the genre at that point, But to diversify it to this, I think to your point, Sean, right now, it probably feels good. It feels good to come back to that.
Right.
the
And
cover is
again,
like
it's not like the argument of like this is not a new idea, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And so I don't feel like Philip Kennedy Johnson is stretching the Hulk by doing this. I think Cates was stretching the Hulk.
Mm,
And whether you like that or not, like I think the concept was stretching the Hulk and Banner. This is the rubber band retracting 100%. And I like it. I like a more traditional Hulk story.
even so far as to bring back the Incredible Hulk title
Right.
is a thing as well. Yeah, even the cover, direct homage to Incredible Hulk #1, I believe. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. I can't wait. We will be getting this. This is coming out on June 21st. I thought Philip Kennedy Johnson was going DC exclusive.
One
I
would
really
have
did.
hoped. Yeah.
I wonder if they dropped the ball on him.
Dan said that in chat. He's like, they should have surprised that DC didn't do that. I think they missed the opportunity, frankly.
Same with Stephanie Phillips. She's getting a lot of Marvel stuff too. I'm like,
Or
oh,
independent stuff, even.
yeah.
Yeah, I think both companies, this is just my thought. I think both companies are about to go on a run of exclusivity, but only if they can afford to pay. We saw a lot of the exclusivity dip when we learned behind the scenes that both Marvel and DC were paying their creators less in those exclusive contracts. It is no surprise. It should be no surprise why writers like Snyder and Morrison have jumped off the exclusivity ship. Bendis jumped off the exclusivity ship. These writers don't do it anymore, and I think that's why. But I guess B tier rising stars, they can. That's a different story.
So, Jeremy Adams' Marvel book 1.
Right? Yeah. Why not? Maybe after this Flash fiasco.
Yeah.
I could see that 100%. Again, June 21st. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. So
yeah, same.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that. You know what else is going to be a lot of fun? Marvel's 60th anniversary live virtual event for the X-Men. So, of course, the X-Men were created in 1963.
Wow.
Yeah, a long time ago.
That's wild.
Yes. I wasn't even living in the balls of my father at that time.
I thought you were going to find a graceful way of saying that, and you went.
I thought about doing that, but then I was like,
You weren't even a swimmer in your dad's sack,
No, I wasn't. Not even close, in fact.
Yeah.
Almost 30 years ahead of my birth. But the reason why we're talking about this, the reason why I'm so excited for it, is that the aforementioned Grant Morrison will actually be partaking in this. For those of you who aren't aware, Grant Morrison is the writer behind New X-Men from 2001. This is a phenomenal X-Men run.
You guys ever do a book club on it?
No.
Ooh.
It's 40 issues.
Well,
It's
yeah,
like
no.
Beast.
Yeah.
New X-Men.
No, I haven't.
Drawn by Frank Quitely, Marco.
Yeah, no, I have it. I've read the first 2 volumes of it. I've not gone beyond that though.
Morrison really revolutionized the X-Men and took what Claremont did and said, okay, this is all phenomenal. This is the bones, but now we're going to take it into the 2000s. Now we're going to make this something that modern audiences can pick up and enjoy and understand. The same evolution that we saw with Hickman. So Grant Morrison being a part of this is major, and a large reason why is that since New X-Men, we haven't seen Morrison really interact with Marvel. So
yeah,
my question is, not that I believe this, my question is, do you think that this is a precursor to a Morrison return to Marvel Comics?
It has to be, right? Yeah, it has to be.
Not
You can't. No, you can't push this forward with Gmo leading and not be like, oh, that's right, they're coming on to
Mark
the book,
Silvestri's there too. They have plenty of people who are iconic too. I think Claremont's there as well.
Claremont's there.
They're just crossing their T's, dotting their I's.
Yeah,
That
with
yeah. Go ahead.
with the level of influence this run has, like to include Grant would be, or to not include Grant would be
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. It's probably a nice paycheck for them, you know. Like I don't blame
Yeah.
them.
I mean, the way that the X line is going right now, people maybe falling off, not feeling as confident. You bring somebody with that kind of caliber onto it, X team pop off.
I don't think he'd want to do it. I think he's explicitly stated
Yeah.
like he has no interest in doing that again, or they've
yeah.
had no interest in doing it. The I would like to know their opinion on what the Krakoa stuff.
I bet they'd like it.
It's a Q&A, right?
Yeah.
Gripe. I got a gripe.
Okay.
I keep getting push alerts because I have Marvel Unlimited. I get push alerts to sign up for this. So the app brings me to Zoom, and I have to log in with Gmail, and it says you can't log in with Gmail, and then it just closes it, and then there's no link on the main page. I have to wait for another notification to come through, which
What the
I don't
fuck?
even know. They're like, well, we'll email you a link to join the Zoom. I haven't got an email at all. It's the process
What-
of getting on this damn signed up for this has been a pain in the ass, I gotta say.
When is this thing?
It
16th.
is on Thursday, this Thursday, March 16th at 7 p.m. Eastern.
The ending our pals polls at 7 p.m. Eastern.
And legit, Tyler, if you were to decide to like maybe share this, I would love to watch.
I have no idea if that's. I will not be
Let's-
doing that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, no, that sounds wrong, Sean.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. It's
Mhm.
immoral.
Yeah, it's immoral. X-Men.
So in Grant and Chris Claremont, we do have Walt and Louise Simonson, Rob Liefeld, Mark Silvestri, Jerry Duggan, Jonathan Hickman, and many more. We will also be having guests from the X-Men animated series and the X-Men 97 animated series that's coming from Disney Plus. So if you are a Marvel Unlimited annual pass holder, you will have access to this event. And I am so bummed that I am not that, because I want to see Grant talk Marvel comics. Oh my God.
If you sign up now, Sean, you can get a red and yellow suit Daredevil Marvel Legends action figure.
Oh, I saw that.
Ooh.
I saw that.
Which is funny because
might have to
my
do it.
subscription expires in April. So good timing, guys.
Are you going to re-up or no?
Probably. I've used Marvel Unlimited a good amount. I can justify it. I think it's been like I used it on Pals Pulse recently when I wanted to go back and read those
Yeah.
Spider-Man issues that we talked about.
Yeah.
Fucking read them.
Yeah.
It's I recommend it. If you can do it, do it.
All right. I might have to. And it would be for Grant. I don't even care about I don't want to read comics digitally. Who cares? I want to see Grant talk X-Men. I'll pay, what is it, $60?
I think so. If you want like the box that comes with it, it's like 90 to 99, I think, for like the physical goods. But
So I'm
honestly,
going to pay $100 to listen to Grant talk, is what you're
well, I
saying.
mean, if you want to
And
flip,
you get
if
a
you want
box.
to, if you want to flip the stuff that's in the box, like there was like a Peach Momoko in my box, Peach Momoko variant that like you can make your money back and more if you sell it individually. I mean, if you're entrepreneurial, I looked into it.
Right.
Mm.
I would keep it. But yeah, this to me is super hype. I can't wait. And you know there's going to be some X-related announcement that comes out of this, right?
Gotta
Surely.
be.
Yeah.
There has
so
to be.
Maybe they
it
can
would be
finally
weird.
confirm whether or not Wolverine has two penises.
The question on everybody's mind.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Daredevil. Speaking about penises,
What?
Daredevil gets around.
Oh,
Hello?
okay. Yeah, he is a
Yeah.
fuckboy.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Wow.
That was a stretch of a segue, but
I don't think so. I think it was pretty apt. We just saw Daredevil fuck on She-Hulk. So
Just 6 months ago?
yeah, in the grand scheme
Sean
of comics,
finally
we just
got
talked
to
about
it.
60 years of
Yeah.
X-Men. I can't reference something from 6 months ago. Kale.
In pop culture? Come on.
Yeah.
And also given the topic you're going to,
Yeah.
you're playing with dangerous water, my man.
That's where I live.
In Daredevil's dangerous water.
Hey, what's up, KO274,
That's my
first
dad.
time chatter? Thank you for joining. Oh, that's your dad?
It's my dad. Yeah.
Oh my God. Tyler's dad. I've been dying to
Hell
meet
yeah.
Tyler's dad. Thank you
Yeah.
for joining. That's awesome. I heard that you are, wait, what's your dad's name? I don't want to be rude.
His name is Keith, and he is also a fan of The Wire, Sean.
That's what I was
Yeah,
going
I
to
know.
say. I heard that you are a fan of The Wire. I'm a super fan of The Wire of 20 years plus. And I just love the fact that you're such a fan. And I heard, can I say this, Tyler?
I mean, I don't know what you're gonna say, but yeah.
That David Simon?
Oh, like he talked to David Simon?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's cool too. And I can only imagine how amazing it was to speak with David Simon because David Simon is such a genius. I'm sorry, I'll get off my soapbox about that.
Harris in the chat saying she.
I have to watch the pilot for TV school this week.
Oh, you finally have a reason.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh,
He also said to do the premiere of every season because
Ooh,
each one
yeah.
is like a
Yeah.
different.
you know, it's
Honestly,
a self-contained thing.
That's where Michael B. Jordan started.
Yep.
Season 1 of The Wire. So
Mhm.
stars made there.
Yeah.
Maybe
Oh my God.
Kale, let me know when you're doing that. Maybe I'll join you and watch those pilots.
I would do
That's
it too.
interesting to me.
Same.
Actually. Yeah.
Listen, if you guys got time tomorrow, like I've got to do it. Like
David Simon also did a Show Me a Hero. Sean, did you watch that?
No.
It was about an old Yonkers, New York mayor who was like in battle, and John Bernthal was in that. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah.
What about the
And,
the other?
Oscar Isaacs was in it as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow, really?
David Simon had that other show that John Bernthal was also in on HBO a couple years back. That was really good too, but I'm blanking on the name.
I think are we talking about the same show?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't remember Oscar Isaac being on it. We Own This City.
Oh yeah, I heard that was good. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. It's hard to watch, but it's very good.
Yeah.
And by hard to watch, I mean the subject matter is just brutal. Speaking of brutal, we're talking about The Punisher, and we now
that's a
know.
better segue.
Thank you so much. We now know that John Bernthal will be reprising his role as the Punisher in Daredevil: Born Again.
Thank you. Let's go. The only person who should be playing that character.
I love John Bernthal. He's so good. He's just
Yes.
intense. That dude is just intense in whatever he does. Like even like Shane in The Walking Dead, like oof.
Oh my God.
It's his character. It's his personality, apparently. No, he seems like a nice guy.
You know, and I think about this with the Punisher, but I also think about it with Shane. And even the character that Bernthal plays in We Own This City. Every character that he plays, he brings such a magnetism to and such a complexity to that you are almost like spellbound to see how Bernthal's going to flip it. What's the next trigger point that's going to, turn his character on his heels? What's the emotional angle? There's just so many layers to the way that Bernthal plays these characters. Even the Punisher, someone that people say is one note. Go back and watch Daredevil season 2 and tell me that again.
Yep.
Layers
Honestly,
upon layers.
Watch Punisher. Like I think it's a good show. It was one of the better of the second best of the Netflix shows.
Easily to me.
I think so.
I think
Punisher
so,
for me
yeah.
is right up there.
Yeah.
Daredevil, Punisher.
I think Jessica Jones, and then the first half of Luke Cage.
Season 1, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought season 1 of Luke Cage was strong.
Once they got rid of Cottonmouth, like halfway through the season, I'm like, what the hell you do that for?
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Yeah. Well, he's Blade now, so it worked out, I guess.
So there are some interesting angles to touch on here. So we know Punisher's returning to Daredevil Born Again. We know that it will also feature Vincent D'Onofrio as Wilson Fisk. So we do have that triumvirate returning for this new Daredevil series. What we are not going to be getting is the return of Deborah Ann Wall and Eldon Henson, who played Karen Page and Foggy Nelson. They will not be returning.
That's
Dang.
a miss. That's a miss.
They're not returning in the sense that we know they're not returning, but it doesn't mean they've been recast. Correct?
They
Yes.
might just not be in this story.
Yeah.
And also worth mentioning, it's not like everything is set in stone. It's not like we know everything. So
Right.
it's possible that they will be announced later. But THR, the Hollywood Reporter, is saying that they are not in this series. Doesn't mean they've been recast. This could be a series that just doesn't simply need them.
Yeah.
But it's hard for me to imagine that there will be a Daredevil story told in Hell's Kitchen that doesn't feature either one of them somehow.
They can't not be there.
Especially Foggy.
There is a recasting already, though.
Who?
This happened like late last night. A Hollywood Reporter is that Vanessa Fisk is in it with a new actress playing Vanessa Fisk. So not a big role, but there is a recasting of a recurring side character. So
does the Hollywood Reporter give a reason? Because I'm wondering if it's like
no. Sandrine Holt will star as Vanessa Fisk. That's all I see.
All right.
Other actors on the call sheet include Michael Gandolfini. Interesting.
Huh.
Margarita.
Oh,
Is he playing his
I
son?
bet he is.
He's Fisk's son, isn't he?
Yes.
Are they adapting?
Yes.
Are they mixing Zdarsky's Daredevil in this?
That's so exciting. I love Michael Gandolfini.
Because to bring in Vanessa. Oh yeah. Okay. All right. I don't know who Margarita Leviva is. God, if I open this up and she looks like Typhoid Mary, that's gonna
that would be cool. I would love to see Typhoid Mary.
Possible. Michael Gandolfini is cool though. I like that as a pick.
Yeah. Did you watch The Many Saints of Newark?
I've never watched Sopranos.
Oh yeah, you've never watched. Why would I ask you a question like that?
I heard he was good though. I heard he was pretty good in it. I heard it was like a little weird, but
I enjoyed it tremendously, and I thought he was really great in it. So yeah. Yeah, this is so exciting to me. I can't wait for Daredevil Born Again. I am starting to be concerned though, and it's none of these announcements are the reason. But I'm worried about whether or not Disney Plus will commit to presenting us this story in a way that it needs to work, and for the Punisher to work in the Marvel sandbox. I think they've already failed with Kingpin.
Yeah.
I hope they don't do a disservice to the other characters that will be a part of this.
Why did they fail Kingpin?
Because Kingpin in Hawkeye was just ridiculous. His Hawaiian shirt, and he gets jobbed out.
Yeah.
He looked like Tyler if Tyler was a gangster.
But you don't think they can redeem him in this?
Of course they can. Anything's possible. I'm just worried that that's the choice that they made, and then this is the follow-up. So that makes me feel like, okay, well, did you know you were going to do this at that time and you were setting him up? That was a radically different presentation of Kingpin. So if that's the MCU's Kingpin, it would stand to reason that they will continue with that presentation going forward. I don't want that.
Maybe this might help you, Sean. The first director for at least the first episode is Michael Cuesta, who directed the pilots for Dexter and Homeland. So tonally,
but I think your point. Then you mean like I'd rather the people behind Netflix guide this because that is the version upon which that Kingpin worked and was effective.
For me, it's less about who's guiding it and more about whether or not it feels true to the character.
Sure.
Okay.
Me, Kingpin from Hawkeye did not feel like the Kingpin that I know and love, and I don't want any more of that at all.
I hate to throw more sponges into this fire, but aren't the CW superhero show writers coming to be on this too?
Not that I see.
I thought I read something like that, but I can't source it. But for some reason, I feel like I've read that.
I see.
That's not a good thing if it's the case. By the way, I just,
I don't see it in this Hollywood Reporter article. What I do see is them spelling Matt Murdock incorrectly. So guys, come on, Hollywood Reporter. They spelled it like the Murdochs, like the real life ones instead.
Well, Tyler, let's not throw stones while we live in a glass house, okay?
What am I spelling wrong? What did I spell wrong?
Don't you remember the other day when you you misspelled Cyclops in the toy review?
That was like a month ago. Cylops, all right? I'm not a paid Hollywood reporter. Okay.
You're also not a paid Hollywood Reporter editor.
I have
Also not
I
paid.
have writers Jill Blankenship and Grain Godfrey will
Those are
write
fake
the
names.
18 episode superhero TV series Daredevil, and they are from Arrow.
Those sound
All
like
right.
names of contestants on Most Extreme Elimination Challenge. What is
Eric
Eric Baba Ganoush going to be writing this too?
Tony Blankenship.
I am way, way more scared of this now that we've confirmed that. I feel like they don't know what they're doing.
That was from Collider, by the way.
And I'm not saying those writers don't know what they're doing. I'm saying I don't think Marvel knows what they're doing. I don't understand how you see the success of the Netflix Daredevil and you don't just go grab those writers.
They're busy at this point, I think.
Sorry?
I think they're busy at this point.
I mean, I'm sure they had a whole writer's room. So I know that Stephen DeKnight is busy, but what about the individual episode writers? They couldn't grab any of them? They got to go to the CW to find writers?
Yeah, and digging into this article, these credits are not promising. It looks like Blankenship did the episodes that was supposed to lead off to a spinoff for Green Arrow and the Canaries, which means it's late Arrow, which is definitely not promising. And then
Post-Olicity?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And then Godfrey wrote for The Flash and DC Legends of Tomorrow.
Not exciting, but I wanna try to be positive about this because I do love Daredevil and I love the Punisher and I love Kingpin. So there's a lot of good that this could be. It's just really up to Marvel and Disney Plus to make this work. And quite frankly, the track record of Disney Plus as it relates to the Marvel shows is not the best. So we'll see.
You think She-Hulk shows up in this?
I hope not.
Tatiana Maslany is on a Broadway play right now that is currently in production or something. So he's around where they're filming.
I hope not.
I don't see the connective tissue there. Yeah, I don't think she needs to be.
They were a couple by the end of She-Hulk.
But like, were they?
Marco sees no connective tissue on people who are being couples.
I just don't want to see it because I think it's tonally incongruent. But maybe from a tone standpoint, I've gotten the vibe that this will not be tonally similar to Netflix's Daredevil. I don't have a source on that. That's what I think I know, and I hope I'm wrong.
I like this yellow and red suit, but I think even if they stick with that, like that's going to be wildly tonally different.
Right. We're not going to get those epic hallway fight scenes in this show.
Yeah.
It's going to be different. Well, I think you all know what time it is now.
Tool time.
It's not tool time.
Yeah?
Is it time to duel?
It's
time to duel. That was last
dissociate.
night. It's time to bookend the show by ending it the way we started, which was with another Marco's Minute. Marco.
Oh, no,
I'm kidding. I never want to do that again.
Oh, damn. I got really excited.
No. That was a bad idea on my part.
That was soul crushing, actually.
I live for that. It is time to get into week 2 of our deep dive into Alan Moore's Twilight of the Superheroes, the greatest superhero story never told. Again, we had a lot of positive feedback on this last week. Last week, we established the why of Twilight of the Superheroes. We know that Alan Moore wanted Twilight of the Superheroes to be like Dark Knight Returns is to Batman, the end game of the myth of DC. He wanted to establish a future for DC's world and characters that gives the creators the ability to work back from, and it solves the problem of superhero characters not ever getting a proper ending to their stories, but it also allows mainline continuity to continue unabated. Alan Moore wanted to give DC their cake and eat it too. He wanted to establish an endpoint for these characters, but also make it so that there was nothing that happened that would alter the, at the time, present of DC's comics in any way unless they wanted it to. This week, we're going to discuss the framing device that Moore uses to establish the link between, at that time, current DC and the future that Twilight of the Superheroes would show us, just how concerned Moore was with stepping on the toes of other creators and how to handle those who didn't want their stories to cross over. And we're going to get into the background of this future and what this future looks like. So, to start, Moore talked about how Twilight of the Superheroes would be a Secret Wars-esque hit and how it could even introduce new characters. And I was fascinated by this idea. Last week, he actually specifically references Secret Wars and the success of that and the toy sale and all the different things that they were able to accomplish with that. And it's worth keeping in mind that all the heroes fighting heroes stuff and I don't necessarily want to say the modern blueprint for an event because that's not accurate, but Secret Wars, I think, is maybe, and I'm open to being corrected, the first like event. The first let's take heroes and smash them together event. The first event that had a drive of let's sell toys, let's sell merchandise, let's do all of those things.
Like a packaged deal beyond the comics. Like, how do you extend that through like a larger corporation?
Right. And
Sure.
Alan Moore, especially if you consider it from a multimedia standpoint.
Okay.
And Alan Moore was clearly inspired by that. So he said, in order to make the central storyline comprehensible to a wider audience than the trivia mesmerized hordes of comic fandom, the link with the present can be ignored and effectively severed, leaving only a powerful and simple central story idea, that of an apocalypse for superfolk played out by warring factions against the fascinating backdrop of a drastically altered future, with all the plotting, romance, and intrigue of one of those storing historical dramas about warring factions amongst the Medici or whatever. This central idea, that of a war and all its spectacular ramifications, making it ideal material for a role-playing game. Perhaps the ultimate superhero role-playing game. It also lends itself nicely to a wide range of other spin-off projects, including those in the toy soldier range. The apocalyptic mood of the series, tied in with current preoccupations and encapsulated in a phrase, like the previously mentioned, quote, waiting for Twilight, could work nicely with regard to the advertising campaign, as well as giving us a range of credible adult items as badges, posters, and t-shirts.
Yo, my man out here building out the Joes. Give the guy the keys, bro. What?
It's so wild seeing how like 80s boardroom capitalist Alan Moore was.
It's phenomenal. It's incredible. Like, there's such foresight and future planning, which is the thing that you need to do. Is you need to look beyond the next event. How does it tie in through these larger products? It's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
But I like seeing that, and then where he is now. It's just like, yo, what?
Oof.
Yeah.
Skyrocketed down.
Dude called the Dungeons and Dragons boom pretty early here, saying we should make a tabletop game out of this too.
That'd be rad.
Yeah.
This would have been right around the original D&D boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one that made my parents, worry about Satan and the gays and
Were they part of what was it? Was it SAD or something like that?
mine weren't. No.
Dungeons and Dragons, I think. Yeah.
Reminds me of Stranger Things.
Mad. It was
last
Mad
season.
Mothers against
Drunk
Dungeons and
driving.
Dragons.
Is that what MAD stood
That's
for?
what MAD stood for.
Oh, okay. Well, who knows?
There needs to be an organization for that. Like, we're against drunk driving.
You think?
So
No, I lived in Buffalo. You're right.
So Alan Moore also talked about the possibility of a superhero movie based on Twilight of the Superheroes, which I thought was really funny, because this is way pre the idea of superhero movies as like a big franchise, I guess.
Right.
At that point, obviously, we had the Superman movie by Dick Donner and things like that. This is pre Batman '89.
Wow, dude, he had it planned out. This is
Right.
foresight. This is foresight.
Yeah, 100%. It's funny that we will never get this movie, but in a few years we'll be getting a Secret Wars movie, which this whole thing was sort of loosely inspired by from a multimedia standpoint.
Mm.
I just thought that was cute. He also talked about the way that this could introduce new characters. And he said, we could introduce a character who hasn't been seen yet. Say Barbara Randall's proposal for a female Flash. That could be presented in Twilight as an old, established character who's been in the Justice League for years. When the character appears on the newsstands in her own title some months later, this should strike a suitably ominous resonance back to the Twilight storyline. Is it all coming true? Even if it doesn't all come true in every detail, even if, say, she never joins the Justice League, mightn't it most of it come true? Does that remind you guys of anything? 5G, maybe?
Hey,
5G in all the studies, LA Times causes massive mutation and cancer.
I'll explain the link. Alan Moore was obsessed. If you read this, he was obsessed with the idea of setting up an end for DC.
Yeah.
He truly believed that in order for DC to stand the test of time, it had to move forward. And it had to show people, just like we see with the myths from Norse mythology and even religion, if you consider the Bible, you know, Jesus has an endpoint. I don't want to be disrespectful. Jesus has an end point and a beginning that we are aware of. Last week, I used the example of Robin Hood, a character who has a very clear-cut beginning, middle, and end, which is something that superheroes do not have. Alan Moore saying, look, the beginning part, we got that. The middle part, I can't help that. You motherfuckers are intent on making money forever off of these characters by keeping us stuck in the middle. What I can do is give these characters an end. So for everybody who wants to be stuck in the middle, we could do that. But for everybody who wants to know how it ends, that's what I'm giving them. Absolutely obsessed. Dan Didio clearly felt the same way because his big idea was to give an end to the traditional Batman and Superman and to create a way to bring about the new age of pushing things forward. To me, those are coming from the same place. Was Dan Didio's idea as eloquent as Moore's? Maybe not, but Dan Didio is not a writer who's celebrated. Moore's one of the greatest of all time.
Do you think, because like this whole Twilight of the superheroes, it's almost mythological in and of itself, you know, and you know, inside baseball comics. Do you think that influenced Didio's thinking a bit? Or it's just like lightning just striking twice in similar ways?
I am of the belief that a lot of stories that we have seen are inspired by this.
Yeah,
and I have that saved for later, but I'll tease you a little bit. What is Kingdom Come about?
Yep. That's the first thing that I thought of,
Sure,
even
okay.
last week. Yeah.
Yep.
Man, I love Alan Moore when he talks about these characters with like passion.
Mm-hmm.
This dude is in it, man.
Yeah, it's really, really amazing. I want to get into it because we haven't actually talked about how we get to this world. So here's the setup. It all starts with the Time Trapper. Raise your hand if you know who the Time Trapper is.
Oh, surely.
Time trap.
I didn't know.
I mean, like that sounds like, you know, a Flashpoint character, you know.
Go ahead, Kale. You might have it.
No, I don't think so. And
Go
to
for
me,
it.
it sounds like a Snapper Carr from the ancient Justice League characters when their headquarters were in that mountain.
So I will give you guys the answer. Time Trapper is a Legion of Superheroes villain. Oh, yeah. Harris, Isaiah Oss in the chat just got it right.
Wow. Yo.
Nerd.
Time Trapper is an ancient Legion of Superheroes villain, and the basis for this story, which completely reminds me of ridiculous characters like Psycho Pirate. And like whenever there's a major event, there's always a crappy character from DC who's at the start of it.
Even Marvel with Beyonder. That dude's ridiculous.
Sure. Yeah. I guess I was referring more to like those like D-list villains that DC loves to put at the forefront of these things. But yes, I think Beyonder also fits that bill. So
you need to put some respect on the Psycho Pirate's name. Thank you very much.
I actually like the Psycho Pirate, but all I was trying to say is like, you know, come on, right? So Time Trapper establishes a quote temporal fluke field within the time streams, and that lures and traps time travelers, in this case, the Legion of Superheroes and Rip Hunter, within it, largely preventing them from being able to escape its clutches and leaving them, in some cases, stranded on one of the several different Earths that have sprung up within the relative location of the time trap. So this is like, you know, the Legion of Superheroes, Rip Hunter, these are characters who traditionally are in the time stream, going to different realities and things like that. And Time Trapper is setting a trap for them so that they're stuck. And the byproduct of this trap is that it actually recreates Earths from the multiverse that were removed from reality after Crisis on Infinite Earths. So this opens up the door for the return of the multiverse already, which is something that Alan Moore criticizes consistently, that the multiverse is gone. He talks about how the Dark Knight verse could be a thing. He doesn't use that language, but he talks about how we could see that continue on. And maybe that's a world that continues to live. He references several other worlds that, you know, are no longer in existence. He also talks about how you could use this to dump some crap that you don't want anymore. He specifically references, and I know my boys are going to get this one. He specifically references a Rainbow Batman that they can dump into the fluke.
Dope.
Yeah. Love Rainbow Batman.
Mm-hmm.
It's up there with like a giant kaiju turtle, Jimmy Olsen, you know?
Gosh, DC was wacky.
Black Lois Lane.
Yep.
That was amazing.
I'm going to Philly next weekend, and I know one of the comic shops in Philly has that on display for sale. That issue of Superman. It's
incredible.
Tempting.
Love it. So while Rip Hunter is in the future, he meets John Constantine, who tells him he must go back in time to that time's DC's present in order to warn the superheroes of the fate that awaits them in hopes they may prevent it. Now, this represents the framing device of Twilight of the superheroes. This is not intended to be the story. This is how we get into the story. Or talks a lot about how, you know, that framing device is meant to sort of be the bridge between, at that time, present DC and the future, but to be fluid enough that when you want to tell this story on the big screen or you want to translate it into multimedia, you could take that out.
Is this the first Zero issue?
No way.
And so with all that established, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the world. Let's talk about the story. What is this?
You teased it in a weird way last week, Sean. So.
Just you wait, he said.
Sorry?
No, he's saying just you wait.
Yeah. So I'm going to go back to Alan Moore's words for a little bit and let him explain what we're looking at. The world of Twilight is not a world where the superheroes have deliberately taken over, but one where they have inherited the Earth almost by default, as various social institutions started to crumble in the face of accelerating social change, leaving the superheroes in the often unwilling position of being a sort of new royalty. Even though government and civic authority has all but disintegrated, the various areas of America each have their own coteries of protecting superfolk to look after them. And the superheroes have thus tended to group into clans, each looking after a certain province. There are numerous houses of this nature, dividing America into a kind of feudal barony system effectively, in terms of politics, if not in terms of technology, which is as advanced as one might expect by 2000 AD. I do want to say that the future that he's referencing is about 2010.
Okay.
It's between 2000 and 2010. So from 1980, whatever. So just keep that in your mind. I love this. I love it so much. Let's break it down. Moore is saying that we're not looking at a world that has gone into the apocalypse because of, nuclear attack. He talks about how he specifically does not want to do what he did in Watchmen, and that was becoming passé because it's been done to death.
Oh, man.
It's not that. It's not Parallax. It's not Superman gone bad. It's apathy and atrophy. It's the proliferation of superheroes and people with powers creating a world that has alienated human beings from it to the degree that they are now willingly subservient to superheroes because they don't believe that they can live without them, because the entirety of their history since the proliferation of Superman has been that they need superheroes to protect them from the threats of the world. Think about DC Comics. What human threats are there? Forget not powers, regular human threats.
Global warming.
them?
It's just really Amanda Waller, really. And even then, it's like she needs
even then,
super
she needs
villains.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you also have like Batman villains, and it's like, meh.
I guess Lex is probably the biggest threat.
To humanity.
I would say editorial probably.
Right, like Lex would certainly count. He's I don't even know. I don't even know that Lex is a threat in that way. Like, he's not trying to end Earth.
True. Yeah.
Like Joker just wants to watch the world burn. He doesn't necessarily care to end Earth. All the threats to Earth are alien or powered,
yeah.
or powered or supernatural somehow, not nukes. And so when Earth is not at risk of being ended by humans lose the drive to protect themselves, and they let the heroes do it for them. I think that's brilliant.
Is this under the assumption then that they're also like living in a more idyllic society at that point?
No, because superheroes don't have that ability. You know what I'm saying? Like, superheroes don't have the knowledge or the intelligence to run a government. They know how to protect people. So what we're looking at is a world that is atrophying because it has no one's looking over the garden anymore. No one's tending to the garden. Eden is overgrown. And it's
the beginning of Kingdom Come.
It smells like Doomsday
It's-
Clock in a way too.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Ragnarok.
Yeah, it's superheroes fighting each other for misunderstandings, if not the fun of it, because they have to do what they have to do.
Yep.
It's also a good, what we were talking about previously. It's also like it. This is why Civil War would never work in DC. It's just the DNA of this world is this what Alan Moore is talking about is the ultimate end of it.
Exactly. I'll go back to Alan's words now. Alan said, what I want to show is a world which, having lived through the terrors of the 50s through the early 90s with overhanging terror of a nuclear Armageddon that seemed inevitable at the time, has found itself faced with the equally inconceivable and terrifying notion that there might not be an apocalypse, that mankind might actually have a future, and might thus be faced with the terrifying prospect of having to deal with it rather than allowing itself the indulgence of getting rid of that responsibility with a convenient mushroom cloud or 900. Following the predictions made by Alvin Toffler and other eminent futurologists, I want to show a future in which everything from the family structure to the economy is decentralizing into an entirely new form that, while it might ultimately be better suited for the survival and the changed conditions in life of the 21st century, is in a constant and incomprehensible state of flux and chaos for those living through it. caught in one of the most violent historical niches where one mode of society changes to another, such as the Industrial Revolution. The people of our world find themselves going through an upheaval, more abstract and bizarre, but every bit as violent, and their institutions crumble in the face of the wave of social change. They find themselves clinging to the various superhero clans who represent their only anchor of stability in this rapidly altering world. Last week, I talked about Alan Moore and his disdain for people, adults, who find solace in superhero comics to escape from their reality, right? Alan Moore is taking that meta and putting it into the book. Humans are now terrified of the way that the world is changing, so they are now giving themselves over to superheroes.
Relinquishing that.
Yes. Which, go ahead.
Sorry, and by virtue of that, have to confront and have to question, well, what does my world look like that?
Exactly.
Damn, dude.
And it turns the superheroes into gods who now have worshipers.
Yo.
They're now myth.
True. Okay.
Again, I can't say it enough. This is brilliant.
Morrison super
phenomenal.
gods. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So I want to give you guys a teaser because we are coming to the end of this edition. But I want to give you guys a teaser of two of the houses that encompass the New World Order of DC. When I say New World Order, I'm not implying 5G turn the frogs gay. I'm talking about the new way of things.
In this context, within, yeah.
The superheroes have divided themselves into houses. They're not allies. They're also not necessarily at war. This is just the way things are. So we have the Houses of Steel, or rather the House of Steel, the House of Thunder, House of Titans, House of Mystery, House of Secrets, House of Justice, House of Tomorrow, and the House of Lanterns.
Okay. Wait. Do the first three again?
Okay. House of Steel, House of Thunder, and House of Titans.
Titans. The fuck are
Why
Titans?
are you
of the
questioning
teen
that?
variety?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes so much more sense. I'm an idiot. Oh, I'm like, what the fuck are Titans?
Yet he could tell. You could think he could talk on Nightwing earlier in the show.
Oh, dumb bitch.
Steel. I'm assuming Wonder Woman and team. Yeah.
Maybe the
Wonder
Man of
Woman?
Steel, Marco.
Of
The
who?
Wonder Woman of Steel?
No, but I'm just saying like Steel, like warring.
It's Superman, Marco. Oh my.
No, but he said
This motherfucker thought he could talk on Nightwing.
wait, but the last two you had Green Lantern and something else that was I thought Superman related.
House of Tomorrow and House of Lanterns.
Tomorrow is Superman. That's easy. So Steel has to be something else.
Sean, what's the House of Steel?
All right.
Yeah, fucking
what?
shut you up. Yeah, okay.
You know what?
No,
you.
you
Give
did
me
it.
that
You
one,
did it
alright?
because I know
Okay.
the answer
Hey,
to this.
you know what? Fuck me. You're right. I'll give you that one.
All right. Well, here's the answer.
Oh,
I'll leave it. I'll leave it. I'll leave it to more. If I change my mind, he says that this house would likely be House of Steel would likely be in New York. But he says if I change my mind, it could be outside America altogether and set in the Arctic Circle, based around a new fortress of solitude. This is because the House of Steel consists of the clan founded by Superman. We have Superman himself, a morally troubled figure who doesn't know what's best to do about the chaos he sees surrounding him, but has come to accept that the houses provide the only real permanent structure in a destabilizing world and are thus important to maintain. Superman has married and raised a couple of kids, and the person that he is married to is
Bruce Wayne.
Lana Lang.
Oh.
Sway.
it is definitely Wonder Woman.
Yeah. You said that.
Oh.
Yeah, I did say that last week. Who has had an identity change to Superwoman to accommodate her new stature. We see the genuine and powerful love between these two in the face of the perils of the world surrounding them and the desire to do what's best. They are also troubled by their two offspring. One of these is a new Superboy, and he's about 18 when the story opens, and he's real bad news. The other child is a less delinquent Supergirl, a new one who, like Superboy, has been born of the union between Superman and Wonder Woman, but who is much kinder and gentler, more her mother's child. Having 3 members in the Superman class and Wonder Woman herself, they're obviously a clan to be reckoned with.
This is
So
very
not-
Game of Thronesy, very Dark Knights of Steel too. So
Oh, yes.
Dark Knights of Steel, yet another book that I was going to bring up later that I believe was directly influenced by this.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Although you could obviously make your arguments, it came out after Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones,
Sure.
big deal.
I would argue that Alan Moore stuff is just archetypal, and that even subconsciously it could influence things.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. Whether you
Yeah.
even know about it or not, it's DC. It's an understanding of the world.
Does he say who House of Secrets is?
No, he let that one a secret.
It's all here, Marco.
And you're not. And that's next week.
But I want to give you guys one more house, because these 2 houses are the basis of the big story that we're going to get into next week as we dive even deeper. And this is the House of Thunder.
Ooh.
I don't care.
You will. I'm going to refer back to more now. The House of Thunder is the other major power and possesses members with power in the same class as that of the House of Steel. The House of Thunder is composed of the Marvel family plus additions. Captain Marvel himself is the patriarch and is, if possible, even more estranged and troubled by the state of the world than Superman is. Perhaps because the Marvel family are having to come to terms with the difficulties of having human alter egos along with everything else. A point I'll return to when I outline the plot. That's, again, so fucking brilliant. They're the gods and the humans at the same time.
He doesn't say whether
Wild.
it's Billy Batson still as a kid, though, right? It
I'm
could
not
be
done.
Okay.
Oh, damn. Fuck yeah.
So referring back to Moore, alongside Captain Marvel, there is Mary Marvel, who the captain has married, more to form a bona fide clan in opposition to that of Superman than for any other reason.
I think they're
There's the-
cousins. I don't know about that.
Well, there's the Game of Thrones connection.
I thought
Incest.
they were just they were adopted at the same, like they're not by blood.
No. At this point, they might have been. It would have been blood.
Does that shock you guys?
That they're married?
Mhm.
Not especially.
No?
Yeah.
No,
No,
no.
you're gonna
kind
say
of a
something
dud.
that's gonna gross me out. I feel.
I mean,
It's-
what do you mean like a dud? Like
Like
it's an
that's not
interesting.
that's not that compelling.
It's an interesting
Oh,
point.
here we
but
go.
oh, this guy, he's you oh.
All right, listen. I'm going to preface this by saying I can't explain why Moore wanted to do this, but this is what Moore wanted. It's a bombshell. If you don't want to hear it, it's a little gross. If you don't want to hear it, scroll ahead.
They're in a 3-way polyamorous couple with Tawny the Tight.
I'll refer back to Moore.
Yif.
There is also Captain Marvel Jr., now an adult superhero, every bit as powerful and imposing as Captain Marvel in his prime, but under the eternal shadow of a senior protege. To complicate things, Captain Marvel Jr. and Mary Marvel are having an affair behind the captain's back, which has every bit as dire consequences as in the Arthurian legend.
Yeah.
The other member of the Marvel clan is Mary Marvel Jr., the daughter of Captain and Mary Marvel Sr. Mary Jr. is fated to be a part of a planned arranged marriage to the nasty delinquent Superboy during the course of our story in order to form a powerful union between the two houses. Peripheral to all this, but perhaps interesting, somewhere in the House of Thunder, which rises up from the middle of LA over the course of the over on the West Coast, there are quarters occupied by those characters from the Fawcett universe who can no longer cope with life in an increasingly realistic and difficult outside world. Those include a sad and aging Mr. Talkie Tawny and perhaps even Mr. Mind. Please don't laugh.
Oh,
I think I can make it work.
Oh, that's in it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. That's great.
The houses of Steel and Thunder face each other across the country, with the various houses and constellations gathered somewhere in between, vying for the power that's left over after the two major houses have had their share.
So hold on. Captain Marvel Jr. is still the child of
No.
Mary and Cap.
Nope.
Oh, different
Captain
person.
Marvel
That's a
Jr.
different-
was
that's
He's
a
essentially his
different
Robin.
Oh,
he was never that.
Oh, okay.
So
never
we
that.
have what it feels to me like incest.
It's not.
Like whether they're blood
At
or
some
not,
level. Yeah.
they grew up together, and like,
Right.
it feels like incest between Captain Marvel and Mary Marvel. And then when you tackle Marvel Jr. and Mary Marvel, that for me took it to a whole other level, to where it just feels like this incestuous mix of characters who are only mating and being together because of the state of the world and not really any other reason.
I mean, it's not incestuous, but it is three people who all grew up together
yeah.
at the same
I-
time, which
I
Yeah.
don't think Freddie Freeman, Captain Marvel Jr. was related. I think he was just a friend.
you are correct.
Hmm.
Yeah. I guess what I'm
Yeah.
getting. Yeah.
You're right. Billy Batson though and Mary Marvel, I'm pretty positive that's their cousins.
Moore was going all out.
I like this as though as political, not political drama, but interpersonal drama that helps to then affect, considering the fact that Captain Marvel's already disillusioned about the world. These are the things that'll push him over the edge.
Mm-hmm.
These are those emotional beats.
Oh, even worse.
Oh, yep. I'm reading the same thing.
It gets way worse.
Oh no!
They're actually brother and sister.
Fuck.
In the traditional Shazam stories, Mary
Yep.
is Billy's once lost twin sister, Mary Batson.
We don't know if that's the premise here, right?
Sure.
I mean, unless this is a completely different universe, but you have to remember this premise that Alan Moore has written is 87, 88,
87.
Based on the
Yeah.
Fawcett characters. Yeah.
and the
Mm.
Fawcett characters have been in DC continuity at this point 50 years.
And
Mm.
according to Wikipedia, it doesn't change until post Final Crisis.
Yeah.
So,
Mm.
this is Game of
Mm.
Thrones.
Manny makes a great point. It makes sense if you think of them as gods, as Alan Moore did. Greek gods were of the same way.
So, they
And
do
I-
be fucking those guys.
Definitely agree with that. I think that this is one of the elements that DC, I talked last week, there's things DC would not have allowed. This is one of them. There's no way that DC would have allowed literal incest in their comics. Obviously, Marvel didn't care 20
Well,
years later.
I will say if it's with Alan Moore, he got away with that with Swamp Thing previously, literally an incest thing pushing against the Comics Code Authority specifically
Swamp
for
Thing.
that. So there's precedent there.
Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't realize he was into that.
His extra his indie stuff is wild, my dude.
Yeah,
Like from
yeah.
Hell?
Oh, was it with the three girls?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
got a great big erotica graphic novels about like your typical sort of Disney heroines, your Alice in Wonderland, your Wendy from Peter Pan,
Yeah.
and it's wild.
Man, fucking quirked up white boy over here. Jeez.
Yeah,
So we've established the why. We've established the what. We've begun to establish the who.
Hmm.
We're going to dive deeper into the who next week as we talk about the rest of the houses. We're going to talk more about the subgroups and how it all falls apart. Because
write all this down. It'll be a test at the end.
We're also going to be getting into the beyond the story, because there's a lot of meat. There's the war, the Cold War between Alan Moore and DC that somehow centers not only this premise at some point, but the most unexpected real life guest star in this story, none other than Rich Johnston from Bleeding Cool.
A character in this play?
No. The real life
Oh, no,
story.
I know, yeah.
Okay.
In the play of this epic we're talking about, yeah.
Yes.
Epic of this creation and this pitch, yeah, okay.
Rich Johnston plays a factor, which is unbelievable.
I want to get on the show so bad. I got questions. But.
I could see that happening one day. And yeah, we're going to get into so much more. The other big promise is that next week, I promise we will have images to show you.
Ooh.
Art?
We will have art.
Oh,
Nothing official, but art from artists who were excited about this at the time, who read the pitch and wanted to show what they thought some of these characters might look like. So we will have some art for you guys.
who's a prominent artist? He was probably in the 80s. He's probably working.
Don't look it up.
I'm not looking it up. I'm trying to see. I'm trying to guess like who would put something together for him.
Marco, don't say David Gibbons again.
No. It'd probably be like he at that point he was working really closely with Rick Veitch, who's art.
Oh yeah.
Who else would be excited for this shit?
Don't think too deeply about it.
Dean.
We'll reveal all that
Perez
as we move forward. Thank you guys for listening to that. I hope you're still enjoying our look at the Twilight of the Superheroes.
It's not Sean's soapbox. It's Sean's story time. It feels like
story time with Sean. Yes. Ulysses says, no, it was getting good. Well, you know what? That's reason enough to come back. And I hope by getting good, you mean it was getting juicy, because I think it's been good. There's so much good here. Alan Moore is trying to do something really special with this event. And I love the look at something that never got to actually happen. So we will continue that next week. How are you guys feeling about this?
I have to be, because I won't be on the show next week. But now I get to be like a listener on it.
Oh, it's a lot of fun.
I might listen to it while I'm driving.
Perfect.
Nice. You should.
Feeling good, Sean. Feeling good. Hopeful for the future.
Good.
Unlike Moore.
You know what's wild is we're reading this. Almost every comic book idea I've ever had has been seeded somewhere by Alan Moore. Somewhere.
Wow.
And I don't think that's wild to say. As we were talking about this, I got another idea that, unrelated to anything, in Twilight of the Superheroes, but it made me go, fuck, man, this dude is just like, he's like the Wizard Green Thumb. You say Alan Moore's name and you go on just a little bit. Oh, there's a comic book idea. Oh, there's one. Reach up and catch it. Oh, got it.
Yeah. When you read this stuff, and of course you read the published works of Alan Moore, you just see that this man's brain was firing constantly with ideas and concepts and things that are everywhere. He's tapped into the well of storytelling, the fountain of storytelling, the fountain of creativity. He has the direct connection to that wellspring, and it's amazing.
He feels like he's living in an arc of Sandman. It's like some writer who tapped into some like otherworldly being and has the power of
his house
storytelling. Yeah,
incredible. Well, again, tune in next week to hear the next chapter of the Twilight of the Superhero saga, and of course whatever else we're going to be talking about next week on the Comics Pals podcast. Before you jump off, I do want to say thank you for listening. If you are not subscribed, please do subscribe to our channel. Like the video if you're watching this on YouTube. Otherwise, wherever you're listening to this, there's a follow button, there's a review button, whatever it is. Let the people know that you are enjoying this. If you want to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, that'd be great. subscribe on YouTube. You can subscribe on Twitch. If you have an Amazon account, you can subscribe for free with Twitch Prime. We get a kickback off that, so we really appreciate that. Whatever you can do, make sure that you write us a question or comment for Jeff Johns that we might read on the air on April 1st when we do interview him. That is not an April Fool's joke. Enter the Jeff Johns Geiger giveaway by writing in your question or comment, being subscribed to our YouTube and Twitch. And that's all you got to do. Patrons get a +2 buff to their entry. When we do the randomizer, we will input people's names. Patrons will get their names entered +2. So do if you want, that's an incentive to join the Patreon, which you can do at patreon.com/thecomicspals. For as little as $3 a month, you can get our newsletter. And you get access to our book club poll. You get a nickname and a shout out on the show. And as I mentioned, you get additional entries into the giveaway. Watch this show live on Twitch and YouTube every single Saturday at 10:15 a.m. Eastern. Watch Pals Polls at 6 p.m. Eastern. Listen to our most recent book club for Strange Adventures, which was a lot of fun. One of Tom King's best works, in my opinion. Maybe the best. And for everything else, at the Comics Pals all over the place. Our store, there's a link to the store in the description of anything that we do, so check that out. Let's get to the plugs. Kale, you're up.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Comics Pals. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at TotoInTow. That's TOTOINTOW. You can find my work at kaleward.com, CALEWARD.com. Speaking of my work, if you're on Patreon, my newsletter this week was a treatment for a Comics Pals TV show.
A lot of fun.
Who plays me?
If you're not you.
Do it.
Sean Austin.
I always thought like Jermaine Clement.
No. Absolutely not.
I'm not that funny.
That's a Marco easy. If you're not in the biz, a treatment is a sort of a concept document for what the show would look like. I had a lot of fun. It seems like it's been really well received. I'm actually really proud of it. I think it has legs. So
Got my grandma seal of approval. So
oh man, that was cool seeing that.
Kale, a hit with the grandmas.
I can see it. Yeah.
Story of my life.
Marco.
You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Mr. Marco Animoto. I just came back from London. Ask me questions about it. Come talk to me about that kind of stuff. I got a few indie books that I'm actually going to be talking about in a subsequent newsletter because I always, whenever I go to someplace new, I will visit a comic book shop, but specifically get something from local talent just to see what the indie space is within that respective area. I was in London, so went to Gosh Comics, picked up a few just real wacky things.
You got any video of it, Marco?
Sorry?
You got any video of that?
I have pictures. I did not get video, but I have. I'll be doing scans and stuff of like particular art that I thought was really interesting.
Tyler. Actually, you know what would have been a great time to like tell people about your experience in London and things like that, Marco?
I don't. I don't. But tell me, where would it have been most
Marco's
fruitful?
Minute.
Oh. Well, you know what? I mean, give me the minute now.
Nope. Tyler?
All right.
You even had your time to plug and you
It
didn't
is
say
Tyler's
shit.
time now.
Yeah, it's Tyler's time.
So yeah, you can follow me at the Tyler Olson on Instagram and Twitter. I got nothing really going on. If you know of a good comic shop that I can check out in Philly next week, let me know. I'll do that.
Oh, I have a few.
I know South Street Comics is good.
I'll send you some.
Yeah. I just want a good cheesesteak and drink some beer.
Good beer.
I'm going
Yeah,
to, what is
Phil's
it?
The bottle shop.
Tired Hands. I'm going to
Yeah.
Tired Hands next week. That's what I'm doing.
You know, chill with Pete.
I actually messaged him. He hasn't got back to me though, but we'll see.
Probably not.
As for me, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram only at Sean Soapbox. I got nothing. Just loving what we're doing, having a blast. Excited for 1,000. I think we might hit 1,000 by next week. How about that?
It's
I
doable.
think you're right.
Yep.
I think you're right.
that's hype. So
I think before next week.
right. Like when we show up here next week, we'll probably be over. So
Yep.
that's I'm very excited about that. Join the celebration. This is, if it happens, when it happens, it's our collective victory. So yeah.
Did you mention Pals Polls poll, Ron?
Oh, the Pals Polls poll will be up.
Hard to say.
Will be up today. So after the show, if you're listening to this live, you'll be able to vote. If you're not, it's already up. Unless you're listening after Wednesday, in which case it's not up. So you've got your time. Go vote. Pick the book that you want to see us review. And if it wins, we will be reviewing it on Thursday. Thank you guys so much for listening. We are the Comics Pals signing off. Until next time, take care, guys.